Hello, and welcome to the Transatlantic Call-In Show. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the only good place to come on the internet to talk to two trans people about all your questions, anything and everything trans-related. So if you are an ally with an awkward, maybe potentially offensive question, or maybe you are a gender critical who thinks that we are evil for trying to give trans healthcare to trans minors, we want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. I am your host tonight, Arden Hart, and with me is the nearly official, but never. Fuck! I fumbled the intro. Go, Ben. Go.
Yeah, I'm almost Dr. Ben. I'm currently student Dr. Ben for another 12 days, and then I will be rebranding to the next Pokemon evolution that is Dr. Ben. And I'm pretty excited, a little bit nervous for what's going to come. I know residency is going to bring some big changes. You might not see me on the internet as much, but I hope that at least I'll be doing some good in the world, especially with regard to trans healthcare. And I do want to work on some research too in residency. And actually, like, small comment before we get into things, there was a conference this past week for the military family medicine physicians, and a bunch of people from the residencies came and gave presentations and stuff. I wasn't at the conference, but one of my kind of mentors from family medicine, who's a sports medicine physician, did a talk on transgender athletes and how we can best care for the warrior athlete who may be trans. And I'm looking at getting some of those slides, but there are people in the field doing some great work right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing where all this goes.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It's so cool. I am so excited for you and your rebranding and the as we said, your metamorphizing. I don't know how to say that as like an active verb. Through April, you're gonna come out on the other side of May. You're gonna be like you said, your Pokemon evolving. You're hitting the last stage. It's super exciting. Doing so many cool things, and can't wait to see what else you can bring to the table from all of that. So cool.
Yeah, how have you been, Arden?
I've been good. A little bit busy because I got some. I'm like sponsoring gun oil lube also apparently in the corner there. I'm doing lots of adult stuff coming up in the future. I'm gonna try not to talk about that too much because I don't want to trip YouTube or whatever. But yeah, things are good. They're just busy. But awesome. Other than that, how about you? How's just your stuff been? Like, aside from all the stuff you're doing.
I mean, the discourse on Twitter has been a shit show, as always. I think people have seen us all over the place, arguing with people here and there about ridiculous things. Today, I went on a whole soapbox about somebody made a very misleading visual aid about the prevalence of intersex people. Yeah, never. GCs would never make an intentionally misleading graphic to convince people that trans people are invalid.
Never.
But so I've been on a soapbox about that because basically what they did, they said biology is simple basically because look at this picture, and they had like this giant box, and then half of it was blue, half of it was pink, and it was like 50-something% of the population is in this blue box, and then 49% some point something is in this pink box, and then like this really tiny box on the screen was like, this is the intersex population. And they number one made it look like the percentage was disproportionately small, and also they misrepresented the statistics. So where you either have to take the multiplication factor of 0.02 to represent 2% and then multiply, or you just say 2%. You cannot say 0.02% and have that. Like you're making the number smaller by combining those values. So I was a little angry today about stats, and so you can go look at all my stats rants today. But otherwise, we're doing okay.
Good. Yeah, there's nothing new there. It sounds pretty typical in gender critical world. I actually also saw a ridiculous post from a Conceptual James. I can't remember his actual name. I went through his tweets. I took a screen video of it where he he talks about how the left and wokeism has polluted the universities to the point where like everything that comes out of them, including our research, is like wholly unreliable. But he also tweeted out yesterday that the left apparently doesn't want kids to learn math anymore. And I was like, that's ridiculous, because I don't know if you've ever been to a college, but they all make you learn math no matter what your major is. Like, this is crazy. We own the universities and we don't want kids to learn math. We also force them to take math. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So we are going to get onto our polls in just a second, but I also want to let you guys know that if you want to support us and support this show, one of the best ways you can do that is by subscribing to the Lion Patreon. You can support individual shows or the Lion as a whole. That goes a really long way to helping out our hosts and helping us evolve the shows, add new shows, get new staff on, like other producers who can help Jimmy and myself take more time off if we need. So if you are willing and able, please go check that out. We've also got a awesome slate of shows coming up this week. I'm not going to plug them all right this second, maybe a little bit later in the show, but definitely subscribe to the Lion so you can catch all of that goodness as we go forward. So if you're ready, let's check out last week's poll. I'm so excited that I get to have a word in on this poll.
Yes.
Oh my God. The chat. I was looking through the comments on this poll and people were mad. Oh my God. Even before you guys went live with last week's episode, it was a little spicy. So last week's poll read, should, quote, mutilated anatomy be normalized? Your options were yes, 28% said yes, and 72% said no. Now, I can understand how there is a very plain text reading of this that would lead someone to say no. Absolutely. If you're thinking about like, should it be okay to do FGM or circumcision on infants? I would agree the answer to that is no, right? But as always, these polls are meant to be a little bit misleading, just a little bit of context missing, where it's going to make you click through to the episode and see what we're actually talking about and watch the episode. And what we were talking about here was a reference to this woman who went to this Diversity in Vulvas art installation where there were a few allegedly trans vulvas on the wall. And this person was claiming that this was not ethical or not moral because it normalizes mutilated anatomy. And so a lot of the conversation was like, well, if somebody's anatomy is mutilated, does that mean they shouldn't be allowed to be included in something? Like, first of all, they're not mutilated. It's just a surgery that is like life-saving, important medical care. But second, shouldn't they still be included anyway? Like, shouldn't all of those people be able to be like comfortable and proud of their bodies? But I do understand where the miscommunication came from. And some people were like, I'm not going to interact with your polls anymore because it was so misleading. It's like, I get it. It's a little spicy, right? We're trying to get you to click through. But anyway, yeah, Ben, did you have more thoughts on that? I know you were here last week.
Yeah, Katie and I went through most of my points on this, but it was just really funny that she ended up DMing me and another trans person because we had kind of roasted her about it. And she tried to backpedal and everything, but just the way her logic worked was so disorganized, and it kind of showed what she was really meaning by this, especially, I mentioned this last time too, but the fact that she had ended up saying that we shouldn't educate people that this type of anatomy is normal or normal variation, but then says, yeah, we shouldn't teach about that kind of anatomy because I don't like that one, but you also shouldn't teach about mine specifically because mine's too perfect and unattainable. So it's apparently like she's just gatekeeping this very narrow range of what she deems to be normal. So like it can't be too good, but it can't be that bad. Like it has to be this set range of average, which is a weird thing when a body part, like you can't really average a body part.
Yeah,
it's odd.
It's also antithetical to the whole point of the art installation, which was diversity in vulvas. The whole point was to show you that, trans or cis women can have body parts that look different for any number of reasons. Like it's just how they were built. Something could have happened to them. Regardless, they should be able to feel proud of their body and comfortable with their body. Like that's the kind of the message that I interpreted from this art installation. But I guess other people, the culture war is so hot right now that people's brains are just soup, and they run into an idea and it's like can't think, brain too smooth. I don't know.
And I think there's an important point here as well that I didn't talk about last time, is the fact that even in medical schools today, and in anatomy programs today, there's very little taught about the diversity of female anatomy, and even just teaching about it all. Like, they teach the drawings in Netter's anatomy and things, but they spend so little time talking about it. Like, they spend so much time talking about male anatomy. Like, I remember having like a good half hour part of a lecture about the male orgasm, and then they talk nothing about the female side except with regard to pregnancy. So there's still a lot of bias in medical education. So I see the value in these art exhibits saying like, hey, we're missing this in our education. We're missing like a doctor being able to see any patient and say, yes, I'm familiar with the diversity of these people, and that I shouldn't be concerned if people don't all look like my textbook. Right. And so there's value to this. And I think it's kind of ridiculous to oppose educating people about diversity. It was all in all a very ridiculous thing that happened. And then she's backpedaled more, and she just dug her hole like even deeper. And it was a time.
I understand what it's like to, when you're getting attacked by like attacked by a large group of people online, you're going to be probably defensive. But yeah, this is just a situation that was viral, and we were trying to comment on it and be relevant. And so I apologize to the commenters and chatters who thought we were so thoroughly off the mark that it frustrated you to some degree. But hopefully in the future, you'll now know that we're trying to be a little spicy with these polls to get you to come see. So on that note, why don't we move on to take next week's poll? You want to do this one?
Yeah, this one's definitely right up my alley, because I know people who know my channel will have very strong opinions. Which major beverage brand should we steal from the right next? And you can choose Coke or Peepus. And
Peepus.
I say
nice.
The first time I said Peepus on the line was on the hang up with Matt, and I remember he had a giggle about it, because I think it's funny to say Peepus because it sounds like another word, and so I started saying Peepus. And now people in my Twitch chat and things all associate me with Peepus, and anytime I'm drinking, I do drink Coke Zero because Peepus Zero is nasty. So anytime I'm drinking a Coke Zero, people are like, Ben, you can't do that. What about your brand? I'm like, I guess I sold my soul to Peepus. So if you really care about me, you're gonna pick Peepus, because we're gonna take Peepus from the right. But
see, now I struggle with this, because on one hand, Mountain Dew is a Pepsi product, and I love me some Mountain Dew. So I kind of want to take that. I want that to be ours. But I feel like Coke is their products are more universally loved. And if we're going to start the trans takeover of businesses, should we take Coke? Maybe that's more strategically advantageous. But if you don't know, this is all a reference to Dylan Mulvaney. After her Year of Girlhood 365 Days event, she started getting like a bunch of brand deals. And one of them was with, is it like Anheuser-Busch or something? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
The Bud Light company that owns Bud Light, basically. And a bunch of people on the right lost their fucking minds and were Kid Rock took out a assault rifle and shot a bunch of Bud Light cans, which you had to go buy those cans. So it's like your protest is not really working, because their sales are going to skyrocket from that. But rightoids don't really have good functioning brains, so it makes sense that they can figure that one out. But all this is just basically I've been seeing so many posts about like now Dylan's working with Nike, and they're like, oh, the left is taking all our companies from us. Like I'm gonna boycott all of these. And meanwhile, almost every company in the US, not every company, but like a lot of the major ones nowadays support Pride. They all go rainbow. Rainbow capitalism is a whole discussion point during Pride Month. Like, it's not surprising that any of these companies support Pride. And yet now, because Dylan Mulvaney is on it, these people have an issue. Like, it's truly bizarre. Never mind the history of Bud Light specifically supporting Pride. They had like a rainbow beer like only a handful of years ago for Pride. This is not new at all, but rightoids don't like, I don't know. They're just, they think beer is man drink. I am man, I own man drink. Like that, I think that is literally like the extent of their thought process on the matter. And so now we're in the situation where it's been discourse for people to talk about Dylan Mulvaney working with Bud.
It's once again an example of we're not snowflakes. Like, we don't live in fear. Like, we're not easily offended. And then like they put a trans woman on a beer can and suddenly they lose their minds. Like, okay, yeah, you're so manly and tough. You're so persecuted because they put a picture of a trans woman on a beer can. That affects your life in so many ways right now. Like, for real.
Yeah. No, it's truly silly. And so we thought it would be fun to just do a little bit of a lighthearted poll today and kind of poke fun at this ridiculous thing that people have been talking about. But all right, Ben, if you were ready.
Before we move on to calls, we need to tell the audience about what they're voting for today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, we have a great super chat challenge today, and Arden came up with it, and I'm actually very excited for it. So you can submit a super chat of $5 or more, which will be read on the air today during this show, and you can vote for either hashtag Team Arden or hashtag Team Ben, and has to be a hashtag or the vote doesn't count. But if we get to 25 votes at the end of the episode, then the loser has to paint a portrait of the other person during the next episode we're on together. And we all know I cannot do art. So if you vote for Arden today and I lose, I'll have to paint a glorious portrait of her during the next episode. And I think Arden had another idea that you can add items that you want us to draw in the portrait. So if you vote for Team Arden and you say like cat, then like I have to add a cat somewhere to the picture of Arden if I lose. And if we get to 50 votes, we both have to do the painting. So get your votes in. Get them in now.
And to be clear, if you vote for Team Arden, that is voting for Ben to do a painting of me. Because that would, if I win, Ben would be the loser and have to do the painting. So you want to vote for the team of the, like, when you're voting for the winner, not the loser, to do the painting. So, okay. If that's all good, we've got full lines, some really interesting calls today, but I want to start off with caller number 1. Let's take, hopefully I'm saying this right, Reuven in Kentucky. Pronouns are they, any. Reuven, you're on the line. What's going on? Hello, Reuven, are you there? You might have your cheek muted. I do that all the time, especially if you're on an iPhone. I'm like, pop, hit the mute button. All right. It looks like Reuven is having an issue, so we're going to bring them back to the queue and take another call. Oop, hit the return to queue button. There we go. You know what? Let's just hit caller number 4. You want to do it? Let's just do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, start off with a bang. Let's go.
All right. Wes in London. Pronouns are he, him. You are on the line. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello? Are you there, Wes? Hello.
Hi, Wes.
Oh, we might be having an audio issue. Seems like Wes maybe can't hear us. So while Jimmy gets that sorted, I'm going to leave Wes on the line for now because Jimmy's lightning fast with these kind of things. So I'm sure it'll work itself out. But if not, we'll put him back in the queue and we'll get it sorted. I thought Reuven dropped for a second. No good. Yeah, there's some really interesting calls today. I want to hit all of these. We're going to be talking about like aggressive trans activism and trans athletes, which is actually kind of poignant and relevant. I saw a prominent atheist creator got an insane viral video, way above his average views, when talking about trans athletes. Oh, hello? Can you hear us now? Okay, no.
Hello, yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Okay,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. We had an audio issue. It's not your fault.
Hello?
So, hi, Wes. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I guess Wes can't
right.
hear us.
I think we're resetting the connection. It could be that we need to just like reset Colin Studio for that to work. So, so while that's happening, yeah, I think anyway. I just kind of like offhandedly, this was relevant because I saw this the other day, and I saw that a caller wants to talk about this. It's insane to me that
Full channel.
People who are so eager to talk about trans athletes and the spice behind this topic that they can get so many views so quickly. And he's already released another video about trans athletes since then, which is
Is it
Try
a cringe video or is it a good video?
it is kind of in between. Hello, Wes, can you hear us?
I can just about hear you. It's not as clear as it usually is.
Okay.
I don't know what's happened, but yeah, I can hear you quite well. I'll just try to persevere as best I can. To be honest with you, I didn't expect to be on first, so that's why I was a little bit taken aback when that little beep went as well.
No
but
worries.
anyway, what I wanted to ask you is about the recent aggressive trans activism which I've been seeing, especially directed at quite well-known people who have got big platforms. So obviously when this kind of aggression occurs, they're able to disseminate it to a much wider public.
So Wes, can you, first of all, I know it's very easy to just label something as aggressive. Can we establish criteria for what you mean by aggressive?
Aggressive, I'll give you a couple of examples. First of all, you had the Posey Parker rally down in Auckland, New Zealand, where you had a very aggressive, hostile crowd, which was basically whipped up in part by the New Zealand media.
So hold on. So you're just, Wes, each time you're just repeating that it was aggressive and hostile, but you're not giving us examples of things that they did that were aggressive, right? So like I can label something as aggressive, but I need to know like what specific actions they took that you think were aggressive.
I'll give you a couple of examples. First of all, she had some tomato juice thrown over her. I thought that was quite aggressive because the perpetrator has actually been charged now. And there's another incident where you had a 72-year-old woman. She got punched by an activist and she had a broken eye socket. Now, that to me would be quite aggressive. I don't know if you would regard that as aggressive.
So I haven't heard about the older woman getting punched. I mean, look, I have kind of complex feelings on this. So on one hand, it is, at least in the US, something like that, I'm pretty sure is definitionally assault. So if it's the case that a person gets charged for that, that's probably the right thing. However, I also can't say that I'm super mad about it or that I really think it's that aggressive. Of the assault things that you can do to bigots who are actively campaigning to take away your rights, I think throwing tomato soup on someone is probably one of the best things that you could pick. It's not going to harm anyone. It's disgusting and unfortunate, and it kind of ruins that person's day. But this person, Posey Parker, is actively ruining trans people's lives all the fucking time. So if she loses one day to being covered in tomato soup, I'm not going to tell anyone, go pour tomato soup on Posey Parker. But I'm also not really upset about it. I don't really think I would call that aggressive. I mean, this sounds to me almost identical to when the gay liberation activists threw a pie in Anita Bryant's face at one of her like book signings or whatever that was. This kind of activism has always been a part of like minority people achieving rights against people who are campaigning against their rights. Like I said, I wouldn't condone someone going out and doing something like that. If the legal action needs to be taken because they did violate the law, then so be it. But if somebody is willing to take the charge of like assault or a night in jail or whatever that's going to be as a consequence for doing something like that, that's bold. I think that's kind of just part of how human rights activism has been. And I don't know. I wouldn't object to that. Punching an older woman, though, such that it causes her severe damage, I personally can't condone physical violence on that level. Yeah, that I would
that's the thing that I mean, Arden, because when somebody is not new to this, obviously they've got a lot of people who still don't know about what the trans issue is all about and so forth. And when they see something like that, you have a man who's like, probably about a third of her age, punching her in the face and she's got a fractured eye socket because of it. That can't be good. You're not going to see that and think, oh, I really want to be an ally now, because that really doesn't look good.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, yeah, I absolutely do not condone hurting people physically for your cause. However, it's kind of a dishonest argument to say that, like, the movement is problematic because this person did something that's bad. Like, we can support the trans movement without supporting that specific action that person took. Like, of course, there are going to be some fringe people within any movement that are going to make the whole movement look bad. And I wish that they wouldn't do that. I wish that they wouldn't, because I agree that it can negatively impact the way that people see the movement. But I don't think it's fair to use that person as an example of, because I know your tactics, Wes. Like, you come in frequently talking about why you don't like this trans rights movement, but to use this one example as a reason to not support the movement is dishonest. And I think you're smuggling this in and trying to make this a bigger representation of the community than it is.
Well, the thing is, Ben, you're always trying to assume what I'm trying to say, or you're trying to presuppose, or you're trying to be very presumptuous. The point I was making is that when you see something like that, instead of the whole community or people with bigger platforms saying, oh, this person was out of order, that shouldn't have happened, nobody condemns it. So by not condemning it, it's almost like you're condoning it.
Except we just condemned it. Wes, yeah. I'm not any of those bigger channels. We are not those people. Do not take some people that you wish did an action and then say that we're problematic because we're associated by an agreement on an idea with it. Like, do you see what you're? And I get that you like to play some word games, and this is kind of bugging me. How you're claiming that I'm being presumptuous and I'm making assumptions about what you're thinking. You draw a lot of intuitive connections between things that don't actually have a connection. And that's what I'm trying to point out to you. Like, no, you didn't specifically in words say that there's a connection between things, but the way that you connected, you framed a problem in a certain way, that makes people intuit that there is a connection. And so that's what the problem is. And that's why I can say more confidently that, yes, this is the argument that you're making. I think Arden wanted to jump in here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's funny, Wes, that Ben goes on explaining how he's like, you use these tactics and it's kind of frustrating. You're like, I don't use those tactics. You're just assuming what I'm doing. Anyway, let me go on to explain why it's your guys' responsibility to deal with the most radical parts of the movement and people who haven't actively. I can't condemn every single action that a bad activist takes. I'm not going to be aware of all I intend to do is be responsible for my actions, my activism, and the people that I associate with. And none of the people I associate with have done any of those things. I think almost everyone that I associate with would unilaterally condemn physical violence. Quite frankly, again, while I'm not going to tell people go dump more soup on Posey Parker, I'm not going to complain about that one because Posey Parker, here, let's turn it around to US. You want us to condemn the bad things that they do. What about when Posey Parker said cis women who stand in her way will be annihilated? What about when Posey Parker suggested that men ought to wait in women's restrooms with weapons to address male people, quote unquote, entering the restroom? Do you condemn those words? Like, do you think that's also aggressive activism? Because I would categorize that as horrifically aggressive. Annihilate people?
Has any of that come to pass? I mean, what we actually saw was a 72-year-old woman get a fractured eye socket in real time.
So you don't condemn it.
No big platforms have actually condemned it.
So you don't condemn what Posey Parker said.
Of course. Well, if anything's happened from what she's actually said,
this is a yes or no question. Wes, this is a yes or no question. Do you condemn what she said? Like that, her approach to activism as being aggressive?
You talk about annihilating women.
Yeah. She said, if you stand in my way, you will be annihilated.
Well, that's a figure of speech. That's a figure of speech.
So you get. So the answer is no.
Well, that's a figure of speech, isn't
it?
it?
Wes,
so the answer is no.
Why is your standard
that's a figure of speech,
different
isn't it?
for
you get football teams annihilating another football team all the time.
Wes, why is your standard different for the trans rights movement than it is for the gender critical movement?
Right. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Aggressive? Why are we aggressive and the GCs are not aggressive?
Okay, let me just let's move on from that a moment, because whenever women
answer the question.
This is our show.
Because all the aggression I see always comes from the trans activists. I never see women being aggressive to trans activists.
Okay,
it's always the other way.
These people's rhetoric, the detrans people
You're just talking about rhetoric.
Wes, let me talk. Oh my God, I was getting to a point. The rhetoric is leading to laws being passed in many states that are anti-science and that are actively harming the lives of trans children right now. I would consider that a violence. Those people's lives are going to be forever shaped in a negative way by the laws that are being passed due to the rhetoric that Posey Parker and her acolytes spread. That is violence. That is literally, this is the whole point of movements like this, is to covertly, with rhetoric, demonize an entire marginalized group such that laws can be passed to infringe on their rights. Their whole goal is to have the benefit of the doubt of, I'm not going out there punching trans people, but I am ruining their lives with legislation. Like, this is not like surprising.
So violence is justified then, basically. So violence is justified is what you're saying.
Weird. I don't think I said that. Did it? Correct me if I'm wrong, Chat and Ben. Did I say the words violence are justified? I don't think that's what I said.
No, and Wes is missing the fact that we... No, Wes is missing the fact that we directly opposed. We openly, explicitly condemned the physical violence that you mentioned, Wes. We condemned that openly.
We are trying to get you to acknowledge. No, you can't, because we're trying to get you to acknowledge that you have. Anytime you see any negative press about trans activists, you think the entire trans activism movement is aggressive. That's where you go.
There's so much of it, though.
Wes,
there's just so much of it, though.
Wes, every time this happens, you come in and extrapolate that to the entire trans activist movement. Whereas when your people are spreading rhetoric that is your people are spreading rhetoric that is actively harming the lives of trans children all across the United States, presumably in the UK, if women's single-sex spaces are going to impact trans people from like using the fucking bathroom or something. I'm asking you to acknowledge that like there is excessive aggressiveness happening from your side. Why is there a double standard that you can't acknowledge? It's so easy for you to see violence in trans people, but it's so difficult for you to acknowledge the ways in which the people on your side of this debate have negatively harmed trans people.
My side?
I'm trying to get you. Yes, your side.
I don't have a side.
I don't have a side. Wes, shut the fuck up. Wes, shut the fuck up. You call in here all the time being so rude and aggressive towards... Okay. Oh my God. I'm going to lose my mind. Didn't you like... When Katy had that issue of being assaulted, didn't you like have some snarky, rude comment about that too? Like, you are actively on these people's side on every single issue. I've never seen you come out and go, oh, well, in this issue, the gender criticals are losing it. The trans people are so right. You don't do that. You're always on their side of every issue.
Well, it's just funny you mentioned Katy, because she did a whole video about the Auckland incident, and she didn't want to mention the 72-year-old woman who got punched in the face.
Maybe she didn't know the whole thing was funny.
About that. Wes, a lot of us didn't know that happened, and if we didn't comment on it, you cannot say that we supported that happening if we were completely unaware of it. You're bringing up this example that you can think of. So here's the thing. No, this is a dishonest tactic that I hear you doing, and I hear other people using the same tactic of, you'll take an example that nobody has heard of.
I'm going to mute you if you keep talking.
You'll take the most extreme example and say...
Billboard Chris?
that because people didn't know about it, say, wow, you support this thing, when actually the things that we were supporting are a completely different circumstance. But you're conflating our reaction to the different circumstance. Like in this case, it's the soup thing. Like the only thing we actually
condemnation. That's the point.
Actually, I've got a great question.
There's never any condemnation.
Wes, I've got a great question. I've never heard you condemn the Holocaust, so I'm just going to assume that you approved of all that, right?
You know, Arden, that is such a ridiculous thing to say.
Oh, whoa, no.
That's what you're doing to us. That is what you're doing.
That is literally the logic you're using. I haven't heard you condemn X, therefore you support X. So I haven't heard you condemn the Holocaust, so I must assume you support it, right?
Which is funny because you literally, on the air, heard us condemn the punching of the old woman. So I don't want to hear you say ever again that we didn't condemn it, because we, live on air, you could hear us. This is going to YouTube forever. People will be able to see this, us condemning that action.
Well,
so stop saying that we supported it.
I love how every single time,
Wes,
I love how every single time we get you in a point where we point out a flaw in your logic and reasoning, rather than acknowledge it or answer a direct question, you go, haha, well, that's ridiculous. No, it's not ridiculous. It's pointing out how your reasoning is flawed. It doesn't necessarily say that your conclusion is incorrect. It says your method of reasoning to come to your conclusion is flawed. And you can't acknowledge that. Instead, you just laugh and shrug it off. Like, I want to have a conversation with you, Wes.
But the bottom line is, Arden, do you think you're gathering allies when people see things like Billboard Chris being assaulted, the old woman in Auckland getting her eye socket fractured?
Wes,
does that gather you allies?
I don't think 99% of people who are just middle road people who aren't already in the gender critical cult and like drinking the Kool-Aid the way you have been, I don't think any of them see single events like this and extrapolate it out to the degree you do. You are like a part of something that has caused your brain to do that. I don't think that impacts normal people the way it does for you. I go out and I talk to people who aren't involved in this and they don't see that shit. They think it's weird when people bring it up. They wish people would just let everyone live their lives. That is how like 90% of people are.
That's the same as me.
You're also going back to an argument that we already...
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
We already addressed that. You keep bringing up the same point and saying that we haven't addressed it, and we've addressed it. We've
I'm not going to say you. I'm talking about...
Well,
when I say
don't
you,
talk
Ben,
about
I'm not saying you specifically.
Well, Wes, then what you need to do is, if you see people making those, like doing those aggressive actions that you're talking about, go confront them about it. Don't confront me about somebody else's actions. Again, Arden and I are not responsible for anybody else's actions.
Ben,
so go talk to them about it. We've condemned it. Move on. Do you have...
Ben,
the thing is, you have one example that we've already debunked, and you keep going back to this one example because it seems to be the only example that you have that actually kind of... that you can use.
Stop interrupting.
Ben,
you're so close to losing your ability to call into the show.
Yeah, how about instead of going back to an argument over and over again that we keep debunking... do you have any other examples that actually prove the point that you're trying to prove? Because it really sounds like you don't have any other evidence.
I've got Billboard Chris. I've got this young Muslim woman in the UK. She's been...
Okay, I'm going to mute Wes because he's literally on autopilot right now. He's been trying to say the words Billboard Chris for, I think, about 7 or 8 minutes. So, Wes, we're going to let you go. It's a little embarrassing that you can't just respond to questions honestly or have an actual conversation. And also, fuck you for misgendering people on Twitter, you actual piece of shit. I hope you actually... Ooh, I'm going to be careful. Oh, you DOS. Bye, Wes. Yeah, I hate Wes. He's a piece of shit. Anyway, we got a lot of callers with interesting topics on the line today.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I wanted to take... Oh, did the call? Oh, no. Okay. They're still online. The caller about trans athletes. Yes. Let's bring in Reuven in Kentucky. Yes. Reuven, you are on the line. What's going on?
Hello. Thank you. I didn't know what was going on earlier.
Yeah, I know. We had an audio issue. But anyway, what do you want to talk to us about today?
My argument or not argument. My question is, it's not just a friend, but several people arguing towards me that trans women athletes have an advantage, and is there something I can point to I don't want to argue against it, but to prove.
So there are different tactics you can use to approach this conversation. I would advise probably sticking more to like a logic approach to this question than going to the research or anything.
Gotcha.
I would honestly first admit that there is evidence that suggests trans women who have gone through male puberty and who have not received hormone treatment or anything like that may possess a statistically significant advantage in certain domains of athleticism. But that does not mean that they are just better at sport across the board all the time. There are exceptions to every single rule. Trans women who've been on hormones lose most of that advantage, if not all of it. And there are trans women who've never gone through male puberty who would not possess any of those advantages. So I would stick to an argument, something along the lines of, it's obvious, trivial, that not all trans women are going to possess some athletic advantage in every sport. And therefore, banning all trans women from sport is a ridiculous place to start from. Now, we may need to discuss, I'm not an athlete or a sports person, which is why I kind of try to stick to this area of the argument. It may be the case that for fairness in sport, we need to have certain criteria that people meet to compete in certain leagues. And maybe not. Again, not an athlete here, right? But it may be the case that certain things do present unfair advantages in sport. But then those rules need to be placed across the board to all athletes. And we have to start asking the question, where does the line of some biological advantage in sports get drawn? Because it seems like for, intersex people like Cus I Wanna or for trans women, having testosterone is not acceptable. But, for basketball players who are extraordinarily tall, that's considered the expectation. Like, if you're going to be in basketball, you should have this biological abnormality of being extraordinarily tall. Or, or Michael Phelps having large hands and large swimming capacity. So I would say that for me personally, the way I argue, I would have to concede first that there are instances where some trans women may have a biological advantage in certain domains of sport. And I word it that way very specifically.
I
some trans women,
the time I did discuss
sports.
it, I didn't do that.
Okay, that may be an approach. I mean, it's not for everyone to do that. I prefer to concede off the bat that they're not honing in on something that is completely fictitious, right? There's something there.
Right.
The problem is that the conclusion that they lead to is therefore trans women should not be in sport. I don't think that follows from the actual evidence that exists.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
So I am a trans athlete. So and something, this is a point that I really want to make clear to a lot of people. I think just in general, the concept of athleticism is it's not thought of very clearly by a lot of people. There's this assumption, and a lot of it is misogynistic, actually. The fact that we assume athleticism is related to masculinity, and therefore men are going to inherently be better at all athletic activities than women. And that's kind of the prevailing rhetoric I see behind a lot of this, because even beyond the perceived biological advantages, people assume that a cis woman would never beat a cis man in any sport at all just because of biological advantage. But if you really break down what is athleticism and what does it take to do certain sports, you can't standardize that across the board. Like, sure, if we're talking weightlifting, yeah, there's some advantage to being a cis male in weightlifting. But take a different sport. Like, how athletic is gymnastics? Gymnastics is primarily a female-dominated sport, mainly due to flexibility and aerodynamics and things. So would you say that even if you ask the general public, do you think a man is going to be just inherently better at gymnastics than a woman? Probably not. So if you can turn the stereotypes of athleticism on its head and really address, like, what do we mean by athleticism? What does it take to be good at a sport? Or even things that are more equipment based, like, why is there a perceived gender difference between like skeet shooters? Like, why is that a factor? Why is a man considered more athletic at skeet shooting? There's a lot of dimension there that people don't consider. And I think that's an important thing to address as well.
Also, another one that thinking about all of those made me think of is extremely long distance running. Women dominate more often.
Yeah.
Because, like, longer than marathon, but.
Yeah. I think the key here is that I think we have to, if we're going to be honest skeptics, right, on this issue, we have to concede that there are instances in where maybe some trans people might have some sort of statistical significant advantage that deems their performance unfair. But I think we need to be really, really careful about where we draw that line, and we can't be lazy about it. It's going to impact a lot more people than just trans people, because those lines are going to be on matters of biology that impact every human who participates in sports.
Yeah, and an example of this, recently there was that whole controversy with Gabby Garcia within Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is my sport, so I was very invested in this particular one. But Gabby Garcia is a cis woman, and somebody took a competition video from IBJJF Nogi Worlds 2014 between Gabby Garcia and Mackenzie Dern. And there's one thing that was important here was, there was a huge size difference. And people were claiming that Gabby Garcia is a trans woman because mainly of this size difference, when this wasn't even the original weight class, because in IBJJF, you do your own separate weight categories first, and then if you make the podium, then you get to do an open weight division with everyone from your skill level. So this was an open weight round between two high-level jiu-jitsu athletes, both of them cis women, and there is a pretty significant weight difference. I think Mackenzie Dern's around 125 pounds, and Gabby Garcia at the time was like 235. So it is a significant weight difference. But they had a great match. It was really well fought on both sides, and Gabby Garcia has been facing this stigma for years because people have assumed that she's a man infiltrating women's sports. And she's had to, within her media presence, she's had to present super hyper feminine because people won't take her seriously otherwise. And so, this doesn't only impact trans women. This impacts cis women. This impacts people across the board. Because, if we start drawing those lines, people like Gabby Garcia would be out of a job. People who just don't meet those gender norms would probably also be out of a job. And it's affecting a lot of people. So that's just one example. But the lines that we draw are very important. Yeah.
I think Stephanie Helms in chat, she's been a co-host here before, good friend of the show, posted the IOC guidelines. Again, not an athlete, I don't know how robust or how good those are for every single sport. But I think generally speaking, guidelines that would, encourage people to be on hormones for maybe a couple of years before they compete would probably be a fair thing to ask of people. On one hand, I understand this is what makes it so difficult, because it's like, someone like Caster Semenya, who is by all metrics to most people a cis woman, but who happens to have an intersex condition that gives her naturally higher testosterone levels. Should she really be excluded? Like, because what is sport if not like a lottery, a composition of people who have won the genetic lottery that they have a advantage in that given sport. That's why they compete in the sport. I would really push back on these people who are making these arguments. Like, again, acknowledge first that there may be some trans people who it is unfair for them to compete in certain sports, but that's not going to apply to every trans person. And banning all of us is clearly a wrong thing to do. But furthermore, if we start deciding on where we draw these lines. We have to consider the implications of that to the general public and what that does to everybody, because it's going to probably impact cis people more than trans people in some ways, just because trans people make up such a small percentage of the population that even if it's like 1% of cis women are dealing with it, it might be still like a greater number than the number of trans people who are dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
And another point I wanted to bring up with this is kind of similarly how a lot of people will take one argument and then apply that particular argument to a broader population than it is actually applicable. Like a lot of the debate with this nuance is like should be applied to elite level athletes or people trying to be professional, or even like, sure, there's some debate there for college level athletes who are then getting opportunities to go professional. Like those are cases where we are primarily having this debate, but then that discussion is extrapolated to then encompass rule sets for children's sports. And do we really need to have like such strict guidelines for your biological advantage for your 10-year-old's baseball team? Like, probably not. Like, do we really need to gatekeep those kinds of sports, or can we allow children to play with fewer restrictions? And I think zeroing in on that thing to make elite sports more fair is one thing, but then penalizing young children and amateur athletes because of that debate is problematic. And I think that probably the lines there, like we don't drug test children for like middle school sports. That'd be ridiculous. Is like theoretically, could it happen? Yeah, but who really cares? It's not really going to impact the sports to such a big extent. So that is another thing. Like, be watchful about how they're applying data from certain populations to other populations, because it's not always an equal argument.
Yep. Was that helpful? Do you feel like you got new tools to like use, or do you think maybe we missed it?
Thank you.
Okay.
No,
awesome.
That helped a lot. And it was basically, I just needed to have someone to talk to about it, really, because I had that all in my brain somewhere.
Yeah. Totally get it. I appreciate you calling in, and I'm glad it helped. And if you maybe use those and it goes well or it goes poorly and you want to call back and tell us how it went, we would love to hear that. It'd be good to refine our process. So thank you so much, Ruben.
I hope to call in again. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye. So Jimmy also sent me, I saw this, which is why I called Wes out on this when we hung up, a screenshot of Wes just explicitly misgendering Katy horrifically and multiple times in a single tweet. So again, Wes, you're a piece of shit, and I hope you have a terrible day and many to come. Anyway, we've got callers on the line, but I want to really quickly let you guys know that while Transatlantic is obviously the best show on the line, there are other shows that are inferior that we do produce here. One of those would be the Sunday show with Matt and Jimmy. That is every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Time. We've also got Skeptalk, which this Monday will have Forrest and I'm reading last week's. I'm sorry. It'll be John, Gleason, and Matt as of right now. And then we've got Tuesday, HOSTility with Forrest Valkai and Gabriel Hanans. Hopefully I said that right. I just said that out loud for the first time. I've been reading it for a week and still don't know how to say it out loud. Dave Warnock will be on the Hang Up with Matt on Wednesday, and then it'll be Katy and I back here again next Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time. So
I don't know what happened with the Skeptalk thing, but the guy's name is Kevin, and he goes by Jesus Unfollower.
Oh, okay.
That's who's on Skeptalk with John.
So it's not Matt. Yeah, I thought that was weird that he was on there.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
Kevin Jesus Unfollower.
Got it. So there you go. Correction. So definitely keep your eyes out for all of that. I'm sure it's going to be amazing and interesting content. And again, subscribe to our Patreon and give us super chats if you want to watch us paint ridiculous paintings of each other. But with that said, we still have other callers on the line. I would like to get to everyone that we've got here today. So why don't we take caller number 2, Andy, they, them in Utah. Andy, you're on the line. What's going on?
Hello. So the reason I'm calling in is because I I'm just really concerned with the way that the U.S. is heading, I think, with all of these anti-trans laws. I am just very concerned about whether or not I will be able to live a normal life here with my family. And most of my family, as in like my parents, grandparents, extended family, are very conservative. And they put up with me being non-binary, but they're still very conservative. They vote Republican most of the time. And I can agree to disagree on economic issues and all that, but when it comes to human rights, and especially things that affect me, I just don't feel comfortable that my family is voting for people who want to make my life much, much harder. And so I'm wondering if there's any way that we as trans people can maybe have conversations with our more conservative family members, because I just am not used to talking politics with my family. We kind of just ignore the things that we disagree on, but I feel like this is important.
I don't know if I have good advice on this, because my advice might be a little harsh. So Ben, you want to take this?
Yeah, I think we're getting a little bit of an echo too.
Yeah, if you got the show playing in the background, mute that, but then we should be good.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the best advice either, because I've honestly, for my own mental health and well-being, I have pretty strict boundaries with my family about what we do and do not talk about, and I've kind of distanced myself from them a little bit, because I know with my family, I can't really have productive conversation with them. I can talk to them all I want, but I'm not confident they're going to change their minds, and I'm especially less confident that if they're going to change their minds, that I'm going to be the one to do that. I have had other family members who tried to make it better, but ended up kind of making it worse a little bit, because my family felt like it was an intervention almost. Because I have a cousin who's a bit older than me, who is still Christian, but is an ally. And so it can, depending on the person, it can be helpful for someone like that to step in where they at least agree on some things, and then it might be easier to have that kind of conversation. But I notice with me, my family and I disagree on too much, that my family is just not willing to take any steps. If you feel like you can have a conversation with your family, and you feel like it's not going to be too mentally traumatic for you, then you can try it. You can try to have a calm conversation with them, understand, you can ask them their understanding of the particular issues and what they think is going to happen with this legislation, and kind of what they expect the outcomes to be and what they perceive the benefit to be. And then you can hopefully give your perspective on why this is harmful, and try to be polite and as much as you can with them. I know sometimes you might need to be more aggressive if you're going to have that conversation. I think at least initially people are going to be more receptive to a kind conversation, but that might be overly optimistic. And again, this is all kind of theoretical advice at this point, just because I know full well that I cannot have that conversation with my family. But that's, kind of a strategy I would attempt, I guess.
Yeah, I have similarly. So for me, I don't have a nice button for this kind of thing. For me, this is a pretty clear and straightforward issue. If you vote for people who are going to pass laws that actively make the lives worse of trans people, or me specifically, I don't condone that. I think it's horrific, and I think you are complicit in the lives of those people being ruined. I have said that explicitly to many of my family members, and I've had to basically cut off family members because of it. Now I realize not everyone, for me, it wasn't that hard to cut off some of my family. It was just pretty obvious. Okay, we're not on the same page. I do not feel supported by them. I'm not going to let them, ruin my well-being by trying to have a relationship with someone who actively makes me feel worse about myself. That being said, I don't know if everyone is built like that. It seems to me that a lot of people would really aspire to try to maintain some sort of relationship with their family. So I think Ben's probably right. It's probably good to try to do some like what is the word? Some like street epistemology sort of on them, sort of like get to the root of their beliefs and have them kind of come to an awareness of like where their reasoning is going wrong. But it's also good to just point out, like, I don't know if this is exactly how you feel, Andy, but this is how I feel, where if you are voting for someone like Trump or a Republican, a senator or someone who's going to pass through laws that are going to hurt trans people, usually I'll get something like, well, yeah, but he doesn't want to tax me the way the left is. And so to me, this is like what I've basically said to my dad explicitly. Oh, so to you, having to spend an extra $13 probably out of a year out of your paycheck for this specific program. So let's be honest, the tax things that are being implemented by other people, the individual out of pocket for every person is going to be minute. It might seem like a lot when you're tacking it on to all the other tax things that you're already having to deal with, but those individual issues are usually minute. So to you, paying an extra $13 a year or something like that on your taxes is more important to you than the evidence-based well-being of trans people. If that's the case, then I actually think you're a garbage person and I don't want to have anything to do with you. Some people might think that's extreme, but I basically said that explicitly to my dad, and his response was, oh, so I can't believe you would ruin our relationship over politics. And I was like, I can't believe that you think that you can divorce your voting choices in politics from its impact on my life. I'm sorry that this is such a negative oriented call. I don't want to kill your hope of having a relationship with your parents, but on this issue, it's just, for me, it's a clear, you either are with me or you're against trans people. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, because I definitely have the tendency to want to control things and feel like, oh, if I just say the right things, I can change people. And I mean, there are some family members that I feel like I could have a conversation with, but others, I think I have to come to the hard realization that there's just nothing that we're going to agree on. And
yeah,
at a certain point, if they don't value my rights and well-being, then that's not a relationship that's worth holding on to.
Right, and
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I communicate something to you, because I feel this resonates with a lot of people in the audience, and in fact, it was something I had to come to terms with as well. And I think you're right about there with just what you have said, but like, I get that we want to be able to have this kind of impact on other people, and it can be very discouraging when we don't achieve the goal that we're trying to. And I think it's important to understand that this issue ultimately is the responsibility of the other person and their actions and what they're doing. And the fact that even if you have a conversation with them and it doesn't go well, that's not a fault with you. That's not your fault that you just didn't communicate well enough, or you just weren't nice enough, or you just didn't debate hard enough. The onus is not on you in that case. You did the best that you could if you felt like you were able to have that conversation, and that responsibility falls on that other person, not on you. So try not to take it too hard. Like, know that you said what you needed to, but don't panic too much, and don't feel like you're the person that needed to save the trans community by doing that. So
yeah, I relate so deeply to what you're talking about, Andy. can't tell you how many times with my therapist I would go in to her and be like, well, I'm seeing my dad this weekend, and I think I want to have a conversation again. And I think if I do it like this and that, maybe I'll get some sort of response. And every single time she was like, I hear you. And if you want to do that, I support you. But I want you to have realistic expectations for what you're going to get out of that. Your father is a grown man who has made it very clear that his opinions are a certain kind of way. And people do change sometimes, but having the expectation for yourself that, like Ben just said so perfectly, that like if you orient the words correctly, that maybe they'll see through. I just want you to protect your peace a little bit, because if that doesn't happen, I don't want you to feel so crushed, you know. I hope for you that does mean something to them, and that they do see through it, and that they'll be able to support you and be there for you. But it's hard when you've spent a lifetime being indoctrinated by right-wing propaganda about LGBT people. That's not something you can just overwrite so easily. Unfortunately, sometimes not even if you have a kid whose well-being depends on you. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry you're in that position. And I hope for you that they really do turn around and that they can hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I hope I can say something, but
yeah, if you have a conversation that goes well, call us back and tell us what you did and why you think it went well, or whatever. We'd love to hear back from you. So thank you so much for your call, Andy. We really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. Bye.
Bye. I feel bad. It's such a dark outcome to that call, but if I'm being real, that's just where it lands. But okay, we've got 2 callers left on the line. I want to get to both of them, but I would really like to take caller number 6, because I think this one might be a little spicy.
Oh,
so we're gonna take.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Gabriel in California. Pronouns are he, him. You are on the line. What would you like to talk about today? Hello, Gabriel. Are you there? Okay. It seems like maybe Gabriel was expecting to be.
Hello? Hello?
There we go. Hi.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, very good. Okay, very good. How's it going?
It's going all right. What do you want to talk about today?
Good. Okay, I'm glad. So I just wanted to talk mostly, I guess, as you could probably see in the description of my topic. I've wondered often, like, how these kinds of claims, especially as it pertains to like transgenderism and things, can be accepted without. I don't think that it's sufficient evidence personally. So, for example, if somebody makes a claim about themselves that can't really be substantiated aside from anecdotal feelings, on what is sort of the basis for accepting that as a posture, like as a...
So hold on. I mean, like, just I'll give you a little bit of an example. So if I tell you right now that my favorite color is blue, that's subjective, right? What kind of evidence do you need to support that my favorite color is blue? I could be lying to you.
Are you still there?
Gabriel?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I can hear you now.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, okay, my phone keeps turning off. So I guess I was in response to the color thing. There are some things that are purely, they're only determined or measured by individual preference. So like color, for example, or a favorite dish you enjoy.
Right.
But then there are some things that can be quantitatively or qualitatively verified via
how would I
different
so
metrics.
what if I told you with regard to trans people, like what if I tell you that I prefer to live my life as in the social role of a man, and I prefer to be called Ben, and I prefer to use he, him. Do you really need more substantial evidence to know that that's my preference on how I live my life?
I could say that you could think that's your preference, sure, but whether the preference lines up, like I would say, for example, I'm half black, and half white. And I would say, so for example, if somebody said they prefer a white person, for example, I'd prefer to live as an African American. I would say, well, you can have that preference, but there's more to it. There's more to being black, for example, than just the societal, what would you call it?
Right.
Manifestation.
So here, I wanna. Yeah, this is actually an interesting thing. What do you understand about what gender is?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a tricky thing. So I know that nowadays, or at least more recently, there's been discussion as to whether there's a difference between sex and gender, and I kind of like that conversation. Like I think I'm almost done my master's in psychology, and I think that I think that there is some utility maybe for the distinction, although I will defer to
So
people
have you
who know
studied
more
have you studied the sociology of gender?
No, not in any depth, but I'd be interested.
I think it's a
hearing.
worthwhile thing to study. This is something that I've been looking into as well. Like the fact that gender is very dynamic, and there's a distinction too between gender identity and gender as it exists. Like gender is a way to relate to people based on a difference in their body. It's how humans have understood this biological difference and how do we interpret how to interact with people. And it's dynamic. It's been fluid throughout time. And so oftentimes when a sociologist talks about gender, it's not necessarily that you have gender, it's you do gender. You do gender with regard to the society that you live in. And so this is different even between gender and race, because I know you're trying to relate these two. These are very distinctly different topics entirely. I think Arden wants to jump in here as well.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to explode.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about like, how do you verify someone's like claim of like a gender identity? There's like two different directions we can go, right? Because like on one hand, there's like, how do you verify that somebody is left-handed or actually gay, or that they, like Ben was saying, or that they actually like ice cream? You just kind of take their word for it, observe their actions, kind of make those evaluations on a case-by-case basis. But most of the time, we just kind of take people's word for it. But when we're talking about like, is gender identity a verifiable construct in reality that exists in someone's brain? There is absolutely evidence for that. Just the same as there is evidence for, like the claims about neurotransmitter imbalances as a cause for mental illness has been largely kind of discredited by most scholars, because the evidence for that was basically we gave people a chemical that affected those levels. Therefore, it must have been a deficiency in those levels that led to those things, right? So we're literally the only evidence that we have to support things like depression or like schizophrenia or other like psychological states is that they can reliably react to certain stimuli such that we can develop like statistically reliable treatment plans. That exists for trans people, and it almost exists more reliably than most psychological treatments. When we're talking about like trans minors getting access to care, I believe one of the studies that evaluated the trans kids for their well-being used a depression inventory, right, before treatment, and had a cis comparison group. Then they got their hormone treatment, and they all took that depression inventory again. And in those cases, it was something like 60% of trans people or something like that, of those trans kids, not only had remission from depression, but they actually scored better results than their cis people. So like,
hang on. Okay, Caller, can you stop breathing into the phone or putting your phone in the wind or whatever you're doing? It's awful.
It is really
sorry.
Loud.
Yeah, I was just in my in-laws' backyard, but I'll go inside.
Yes, please.
No, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is this better?
Yes, it's much better. So the point I was trying to make is that, I think it's like with most depression, psychiatric meds, psychotropic meds, there's actually like, there is a statistically significant impact, compared to a placebo of those medications, but it's actually like pretty low. It's like often below 50% of patients noticing a significant reduction in depressive symptoms. But with trans people receiving healthcare, it's a pretty massive comparatively statistic improvement in relieving of those symptoms. We can develop these treatment plans where there's only like the highest estimates of regret rates are like 2.6% or something like that of people regretting transition, thinking it was not right for them, separate from people who might detransition due to social stigma or abuse that they faced as a result of being outwardly trans. So like, if you have an issue with the evidence for trans people because it's not a blood test you can measure, the same as, diabetes or something, you're also going to have to, by that same reasoning, throw out your understanding of, or you're going to have to, in the same vein, discredit depression and anxiety and schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, all of these psychological
No, I don't know if that's the case.
And you're going to have to discredit pain.
Wait. I want to hear why. Because I just explained
to you.
Because
these things, because a lot of these measures, like you can talk about self-esteem, you can talk about depression, well-being. A lot of these things are require multivariate analysis. Like this is why traditionally some people.
Why do you think that hasn't been done? I just cited I don't have the exact study on hand, but there are multiple studies.
Sure. I'm not too.
So you're not familiar with it. Then why are you
I'm
telling me that's not the case? How can you say that's not the case if you're not familiar with these studies?
Sure, I'm just.
Hello?
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm saying that there's one variable in particular, and that is social support, which I think, what would you call it? Maybe undermines, I don't know, undermines kind of the validity of some of these other things. For example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like bullies having a very high sense of self-esteem.
I haven't seen that.
It's not necessarily. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said no. I haven't seen that data.
Okay, so there was some data set that came out a while ago saying that they have like an inordinately high sense of self-esteem. And I guess the reason why I think that self-esteem isn't necessarily a great marker for whether the what would you call it, the prescription should be continued. So in that case, bullying, or in this case, the medication that's associated, like for the hormone blockers or the hormone treatments.
So we're not diagnosing people based on self-esteem, though.
Yeah, Did you hear what I said? I said that they gave these kids before transition treatment a depression inventory, like a reliable measure of depression. Then after treatment, gave them that same measure again and compared the difference between the results both before and after treatment. This is like
but what I'm saying is that it's not, you can't,
relevant. This is as close to like a actual like ethical, statistically like significant study that you can get on the efficacy of trans healthcare.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that you can't, like in a study like this, you can't just attribute the potential correlation to the treatment when there are other factors that you have to measure for. And then another factor.
Hold on. Hold on though. Because these studies are controlling for variables. And it would help if you read the studies before you say that they didn't control for these variables.
Yeah, because
but also, here's the thing: like,
I'm not saying that they didn't. I'm not saying that they didn't. But I'm asking whether
you actually did.
Okay, that's good to know.
Problem is that you're trying to say that again, like this is a common issue, taking population level statistics and applying them to individual people. Like the fact is, you can have theoretically. Or in data, certain things that are consistent with treatment protocols for a population of people. However, we might do something different for an individual because I see this person has this presentation of symptoms, and I have this this treatment plan that they consent to that could potentially reduce those symptoms and give this person a better quality of life. And I might do that, and I say, hey, this person, while they might not meet this certain textbook criteria or whatever, gets benefit from this treatment. So I might still continue it. And I kind of want to go along with this. Like, do you think that pain, do you think we should treat people for pain?
Sure, of course, yeah. that people should be treated for
is pain. Can you objectively quantify somebody's pain? Is that possible? Can you do that reliably?
I would think not. I would think that
No, you can't.
It would be very difficult to
At
do.
most we can do with pain is say, hey, can you rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst pain you've ever felt in your life? I can do that, but can I compare then my level of pain with my stubbed toe with somebody else's pain of being hit by a truck? Like, my 10 might be different than somebody else's 10. It's all subjective. All of that is subjective.
Yeah, well, but the thing is,
we have enough evidence with the treatment. We have enough evidence within the treatment to see improvement. And yes, it is subjective. But the subjective improvement is worth it.
One thing that's not subjective is biological sex. Biological sex is something that
that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, wait,
Gabriel, we're talking about gender.
No,
we're not talking about biological sex.
Gabriel, actually no. Actually no, you can't. Because I want you to actually no, actually you can't. Because I actually want you to respond to what we're saying. We're pointing out to you that you claim you're going to have a master's in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology. So cool. We have a similarity here, right? We're pointing out to you that the same standard that is used to determine treatment for pain, for depression, for all of these other psychological states that we have no capacity to objectively verify other than the statistical models that we have for treatment for these populations. And trans people not only have the same degree of evidence for our treatment models, but in fact, the evidence seems to suggest in some cases that it's actually a more reliable treatment model than so many. We're trying to point out to you that if you're going to be a master's in psychology, I don't know how on earth you could possibly be calling in saying you have a position on trans issues when you haven't looked at the research and when you aren't acknowledging that you have a double standard for how you interact with different models.
Well, I would say, so for one thing, and I don't know how this is going to go over, but I would say that traditionally, methodology and treatment would have to be qualified. Like there would have to be ethical sort of criteria met. And I think one of the things, like I'm not even sure that the claim that somebody can switch, that they belong to a different gender or different
how
sex
is that?
has been
That is not a response. That is not a response to what I said at all. That's irrelevant.
If you let me finish,
please respond to what I said. No, actually, no.
Sure.
You're going to respond to what I said, or you're going to go away. That we're having a conversation. I'm only interested in having conversations with people who are going to honestly engage. I just pointed out a flaw in your reasoning. Please respond to it and don't pivot away. Either tell me why my point is wrong, or say, "Oh, you're right. Let me adjust my view in some capacity." Those are the only valid responses.
Sure, I've seen that the literature says that some people who take this treatment seem to benefit from it, and symptoms of depression and things tend to actually decrease. Which you know what? That's more power to them on that front. Is that an adequate response, or can I switch the subject now a little bit?
No. It honestly, it feels dishonest that you're like, wow, I saw you. First of all, earlier you said you haven't seen most of these studies, but then you've seen some studies
I don't know how many there are.
For some people, you said you've seen some studies for some people that it maybe helps their depression a little bit. Ooh, yay. That's not what the studies say. The studies are overwhelmingly, this treatment, actually, that is pretty much what you said. The studies are pointing to that overwhelmingly. When somebody comes in and reports that they're trans, of course, there's a chance that they could be lying, just like they can Munchausen's lie about fucking anything. And if they know the criteria, they could just report to the criteria, sure. The studies show overwhelmingly that these treatments are extremely reliable and have very high statistical significantly reductions in depressive symptoms and improvements in quality of life. I don't know how you can just wave it off as some of them help a little. I'm not
trying to wave it off. I'm not trying to wave that off. If that's what the data say, then I'm happy with that. But what I'm trying to say though is that I'm not sure that I accept the claim that somebody is able to change their sex or somebody. So because that's something that's
not Gabriel. You are dishonestly conflating sex and gender. We are here talking about gender, and now you're saying that I don't think they can change their sex, and that's a whole
Well, maybe
separate
I don't
conversation
agree with.
for a
Maybe
different
I don't
day.
agree with
But-
your definitions. Maybe I don't agree with your definitions.
Okay,
Then what
I
if
just
I don't
wanna-
want to concede the idea that gender and sex are different? Like
Well,
if
I don't
were
give a
to say
fuck,
that I
Gabriel.
identify,
Gabriel. I don't give a fuck what you want. I care about what's true. Okay. And you're going to be a master's in psychology. I think it's pretty important that you start caring about what's true and less about what you want. Okay.
And on what basis is it true that gender and sex are different? How do you determine that?
Okay, pretty easily. That sex is a collection of biological features that you can point to. There's some disagreement on the validity of almost any definition of sex, first of all. But second of all, because again, we can point to things like conversion therapy doesn't work. Overwhelmingly, you cannot untrans someone. That is, the evidence is so clear on that. And secondly, that there is reliable treatment methodologies for people to live as their gender. Some of the most statistically significant reductions in depression and those suicidal symptoms come from their community validating their gender, having access to documents that reflect their gender correctly, having their peer leaders, their community leaders, church leaders, their employers.
Question?
Hey, can you? I literally just did.
No, you didn't. I said, how do you determine that sex and gender are different?
I literally just told you.
She's literally answering this question.
Gabriel,
do you know how to
listen? No.
Do you know how to
Gabriel,
listen?
I'm going to mute you. No. I want to go through this again. Gabriel, you asked, how do we know that sex and gender are different? I told you, sex is a collection of biological facts, whether you want to call it your chromosomes or your gametes or gamete potential. That is what sex falls under. Physical traits related to the bimodal distribution that occurs for humans as sexual dimorphism. Gender is a durable psychological state relating to their psychological interpretation of their self, relating to all those things. And we know that exists because if you try to untrans someone, it doesn't work. When you offer people the care, it works. When you offer people access to documents and affirm affirmation in their community, it works and it makes their life better. That is literally pointing out the difference between gender and sex.
Okay, first off, there are people who have detransitioned. So would you say that their state?
Hey, nope.
Gabriel's not listening. I think.
Yeah, Gabriel.
I think this conversation is kind of pointless because he's not listening.
Yeah, Gabriel. Do you know how medicine works? Gabriel, do you know how medicine works? Do you think medicine has a 100% success rate ever?
It
or does every
doesn't.
single treatment model? Okay, right, exactly. Every single treatment model of medicine ever has a failure rate. There are some people for whom the treatment is not going to work. Transition is not special in that way. There are people for whom transition is not going to work. And we have data on this. The highest estimates are about like 2.5% regret rate of transition. The actual consistent numbers that we usually see is like 0.3% regret rates. That is extraordinarily low compared to any other medical treatment.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But what I'm saying, though, is
so
that
then why did you bring up detransitioners? It's irrelevant.
Because you said that, you said something about conversion therapy not working to alter people's, I guess.
Yes, conversion therapy doesn't work.
But can I?
Those people who detransition all the time cite that they still have gender dysphoria. That is a very common thing.
Can I make am I allowed to make a slightly different point? Or if it's not
related,
then no. You have to call back.
Do you know what gish galloping is, Gabriel? Do you know what that means?
This was the initial point that I wanted to make the entire time. That if you read my topic, that's what I wanted to get to. Is that okay? Okay, so I guess what I was going to say is that if the ideology is predicated on a statement of identity, a feeling that can't be verified.
Gabriel, we've already gone over the feelings that can't be verified. This isn't new. We've already addressed this point. I'm going to mute you, okay? Because
this is our show.
We've already addressed this point about feelings you can't verify multiple times. And you are now going in to say again that because we can't verify people's feelings, I already see what the question is in the thing. I'm guessing this is where you're going. Where do you draw the line in expecting people to accept your identity? Honestly, Gabriel, I'm done with this conversation. You aren't listening, and you aren't a good conversationalist on this matter. If you would like to call back next week, you are more than welcome to do that. It'll be Katy and myself on. But honestly, I don't give a fuck if you accept my identity. I give a fuck what the evidence says, which is transition is good and for trans people and works for trans people. Bye-bye.
Right, and now that he's gone, I want to say, like, the one thing I guess in response to his question, like, yeah, I don't give a shit if you want to accept my identity or if you want to use my correct name and pronouns, etc. Like, I have every right to call you an asshole for you using the wrong name with me. Like, you have every right to do that. But you have, I have every right to call you out on being a jerk about it. And it's like you're not free of social consequences of your actions. And I think it's the, like, I don't know, it's a dishonest question to begin with. This whole conversation was just dishonest.
Yeah. Okay, we've got one caller left on the line. We are really short on time. So Tilly in San Antonio, you were on the line, and I'm sorry we're going to have to make this a quick call, but what did you want to talk about today?
Hi. No worries. Good to be on. Sorry.
No worries.
Jitters. So recently, like, I'm sure that y'all have seen this thing floating around on Twitter with the EMT at New Mexico State University confronting the infamous chin cell, and that clip going around. And just seeing that, it sort of starts to send me back to, like, 2016, when I remember there were all of these, like, conservative goes to college, does, like, debates with lines of people shtick, right? And they were all over the place. And, like, I might just be speaking from my own anecdotal experience here, knowing that, because I was in college in 2016, and they were just kind of a big part of the discourse, as far as I could tell, you know, not just online, but people would bring them up to me in real life and stuff. And people were hoping that somebody would come by our college, either to, you know, epically own them, or because they wanted to see them epically own the lids, you know. And so sort of seeing, I thought that those had sort of gone out of style. Maybe that was just COVID. Now seeing this sort of thing come back, I don't want to, like, see history repeat itself again and have this incredibly flawed format that doesn't actually get at anything real or good or true become popular again. So I'm just wondering, like, A, I guess, am I overreacting here? And B, what sort of prescription should all of us really be taking, like, to push back on this format as a whole? Because it's just fundamentally flawed. And, like, sorry, I'm just repeating myself at this point.
No, it's okay. I mean, for me, at least I think if you know your opponent and it's someone like Matt Walsh, the obvious answer is don't go do that. In my opinion, I think that's probably, I'm interested in having these conversations, right? I want to talk to people who authentically don't understand or don't believe trans, like the trans healthcare models or whatever. That's fine. I'm happy to talk to those people, but I'm only interested in talking to people who are honest, because I in my view of how society is laid out, I would say like 90% of society is couched in this sort of middle ground where they're hearing a lot about it. They're probably kind of annoyed. They've probably been indoctrinated into a tiny bit of anti-trans propaganda, but most people probably are like, I don't know about this. I'm not an expert. I don't really care. And so those people, I feel like you can definitely make headway with and should talk to, especially if they disagree. With people like Matt Walsh, he's only looking for a clip to sensationalize, to say, look at this dumb trans who's talking to me. They said something so stupid. We should all go bully and talk about how fucking stupid they are. I think we just don't talk to people like that.
Yeah, I think definitely avoid conversation with people like Matt Walsh. But also, I think this is like my point, especially with regard to the EMT conversation. It's very important for people who are in a certain field of study and people with expertise be, number one, be very, very careful about who you interact with, because your credibility is on the line, and the standard that you are held to is very high. And this is something I think was a problem in this particular conversation, because we had an EMT, which, like, I used to be an EMT, like, no shade to EMTs, I love them, but they have a very limited expertise and very limited scope of practice. And so you're presenting yourself as a medical professional, like that, which, like, yeah, she is a medical professional. Is she the most qualified really to debate the healthcare system, knowing that she's, like, Matt Walsh doesn't care what her qualifications are. He's going to say she's a medical professional. I'm going to hold her to the same standard that I would a doctor, which is unfortunate because she's not prepared to handle that kind of conversation, doesn't have the authority or credibility to really back up her points in that conversation or what she would do in that particular clinical setting. So it's kind of scary to insert your own credentials into that kind of thing. I kind of think that was not a very good way to approach it. But even so, like, as an almost physician, like, I have to know that if I mess up at any point or if I'm less effective with my communication, it can extremely backfire on the community. So I think, like, this is a bit of a tangent there, but just with that whole EMT thing, like, and especially because Matt Walsh too used a hypothetical scenario that is unrealistic and addressed
completely insane. Completely insane hypothetical right there. Like, he's assuming that like the first thing when the EMT arrives is check their genitals, which is just sorry. I don't mean to get
the EMT is not, because the EMT is not managing a miscarriage. Like, if someone has abdominal, like, because the chief complaint would come in as, I have abdominal pain, I might be having a miscarriage. And odds are, like, yeah, that person might have had a pregnancy test or whatever. They might have some reason to believe that. The EMT is not doing anything with that information. Their job is to stabilize and transport. The people responsible for the miscarriage or potential miscarriage are the physicians at the hospital that are getting the handoff, because they're going to verify. They're going to do an ultrasound. They're going to verify if that is true or not. And so to make the EMT held to that physician standard is absolutely unfair. And I think people with a certain level of expertise in any area, I think we need to be very cautious when engaging on those topics, because the standard will be high whether or not you meet those credentials. So that's kind of my biggest piece there.
And
be
I guess,
very careful when entering those conversations.
My thought there is, like, I don't think that, like, even having medical credentials is the most important credential in that environment. Like, if you were a doctor, it doesn't matter as much as whether or not you have media training feels like the thing there. Because, like,
probably true.
She knows her stuff, you know, being an EMT, but when you're in that high pressure environment surrounded by people who hate you, expected to, you know, like, if you don't perfectly deal with every single one of the inane arguments, it becomes just a shit show. And, like, which ultimately I think is the problem with that sort of format.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I guess my primary question is more about, like, it's not like, oh, how do I you know, or is it worth it to go to these things? I guess it's just like, how do we? Sorry, I'm being really bad at phrasing. Should we focus on getting people media training to go to these things and make their events turn them into fools, which seems unlikely in my opinion? Or are there other prescriptions that we could take? Like, would it be better to just, like, I don't know, start hosting, like, counter talks or something? Just, like, send some trans people with media training to do debates with college students? Or just or are they just, like, not that big a deal, and talking about them at all is ultimately, like, I don't know, giving it more spotlight than it would get if I didn't? I have no clue.
So we're gonna probably let you go and answer the rest of this question off air so that we can get to super chats, because we are running a little bit behind. But thank you so much, Tilly, for calling in. We will keep an eye on the show, because we're gonna answer the rest of your question. So thank you so much. Bye, Tilly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I don't know. In my opinion, I think it's good for people to cut their teeth on debate, but I think you want to do that in something like, you see these like Twitch debate channels that are like, they'll have like a panel of like 9 people and it's kind of nonsense. I don't think there's anything valuable to be gained there, and I don't think those things really do much harm. I think that's a great place to cut your teeth in debate, and because the stakes are so low, it's a good chance to engage with letting your for me, like my nervous system fires up, when people start spreading misinformation or saying untrue things or not honestly answering my question, to kind of get yourself the experience of having that physical sensation. That way you can know how to like interact with it and engage with it and be more calm and cool-headed and delivering the right information, and knowing the right approach to things. I think by and large, people should just not debate someone like Matt Walsh. I saw someone in the chat be like, wrong, those are the people you have to change. My goal is not to change, what's the guy's name from 2 calls ago? My goal is not to change Matt Walsh's opinion when I debate. I want to change the mind of the viewers. Like I've been talking about all show, the majority of people who are probably in the middle and who have probably been influenced by some degree of trans propaganda, anti-trans propaganda. And so I want to appeal to those people to show why those anti-trans propaganda talking points are flawed logically and why it makes you look foolish to use them. Because one thing that's going to motivate a lot of people to not use those talking points or to change their views is, wow, that person looked really stupid when they said that. I don't want to look stupid. Those things are far more, I think, influential to people's behavior. I don't actually have data to back that up, though, so maybe I'm wrong. But I wouldn't debate Matt Walsh. I think Matt Walsh is a waste of time. Ben Shapiro, waste of time. I think doing things like this, or maybe like Tilly said, going to a college and having a thing, those things are fine. Is that good with you, Ben?
Yeah, I don't have much else to add on that. So
cool. All right. We're going to dive into the super chat portion of the show. If you donate $5 or more as a super chat, it will pop up on the screen and we will read it out loud. If you add hashtag Team Arden or hashtag Team Ben, that is a vote towards a point of a vote towards the overall. We have to get 25 votes or more. So we need at least 25 super chats with those hashtags to.
I want a painting.
Threshold.
Let's get there. I want a painting.
It would be so fun.
Yeah, no, I actually love to see that. Yeah, $4.99 from Josh Muir. The show is usually over by the time I clock out, but I look forward to watching later tonight. Tell Jimmy to guzzle vegan cheese sauce. Yeah, Jimmy, go guzzle some vegan cheese sauce. And good to see you with the first super chat. And you are in for a treat later on when you get off work.
Yeah, it was. No, there is a lot of good calls. I saw someone after we hung up on what's his name was like, wow, so tolerant of his views. When on earth? This is the problem when you are drinking the conservative fucking Kool-Aid, man. When have I ever said I want to be tolerant of all views? Absolutely not. That dude was claiming to be a master's degree in a science field and was spewing absolute anti-science and then backed up one of his points with, well, I don't like it. I don't want to be respectful to that guy. That guy can get fucked.
Right. And here's the thing, too. Like, you're getting a master's in psychology. You should be working on your listening skills. Yeah. And again, I don't know if this person's going into, like, clinical psychology, which I'd be a little scared if they can't listen to people, if that's their end goal. But
yeah, I agree. $5 from RPG Debunks. This time I'm going with hashtag Team Art Dr. Ben, hashtag Mayo all day. Looks over at Arden Gulp. He nervously, hey, runs away in terror. I don't know what any of that means or who that vote goes to, so.
I think it's to me because it actually completed my name and not yours, so.
But then it's Mayo all day and we're both Mayo, so what?
Yeah, that's hard, yeah.
Also, it says Josie. Got to update. There you
go.
There you go.
I'm Josie now.
I don't think you can prove that.
You're right. I can't. No evidence. Thank you so much, RPG Debunks. We appreciate it. Ooh, I love this lo-fi like jazz. Hell yeah.
I know. I don't know how to feel about it. £5 from Dizzy Spook. Hashtag Team Producer Arden. Well, Producer Arden is not here. So you're talking to host Arden. And I don't know if it counts because they're not the same person.
I am always a producer, okay? It's in my blood. I am both.
You're innately a producer. It is part of your genetics. What are producer chromosomes? Do producers have special chromosomes that we can identify you by?
Okay, I'm not going to defend Arden's position on this, but I suspect if you checked my DNA, you'd find some producer chromosomes. It's like it's all I think about all day, every day.
Probably.
Thank
you so much, Dizzy.
chromosomes.
We got $5 from Aubrey. Nearly Dr. Ben. More like nearly Dr. Base. Hashtag Team Ben. Also Team Poppy, but no Poppy today. I will live, I guess. Well, one thing's for sure. Aubrey is on team not Arden.
See, it's okay.
Ben
I'll
and
take
Poppy,
the consolation
who's
for
not
not being Poppy. I'm the runner-up to Poppy this week.
I was gonna see if Raz was out, but he's not, so I can't have a lizard on my team.
No.
The beardies are downstairs. I don't want to go get them. So thanks, Aubrey.
Chat, tell me if the audio should go louder or not. I don't care whether for the people who I don't like lo-fi, just whether or not the balance is good. I can't hear precisely what you hear.
I'm living for Arden's dancing though. $20 from Jordan Kapler. As a cis man that supports trans folk, how would you suggest I respond to people that are opposed when I'm still pretty ignorant on a lot of topics? I don't want to constantly respond with "go ask a trans person" #Team Ben. Well, the good news is that's what this show is for. If you have conversations or questions like this that you want to run by some people, you can always call in here, or you can tell these other people to call in as well. We'd be happy to talk to them if you don't have an answer.
Yeah, it's also always worth acknowledging if they start being like, well, you don't know, you're not the whatever. You can be like, yeah, and also you're not a specialist. Like every major medical organization disagrees with you. Like, do you have an explanation as why you know more than them? Probably not. Those are easy things to fall back on. Don't require a lot of.
Y'all see how easy I made the poll
worth
in
one,
chat.
AB.
#A, #B. Worth one.
And it worked that our names are A and B, so like
it does.
You know, yeah.
It does.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh, I should do my job.
I was doing like a slow, sensual sprinkler, May Spitfire. It was like a. Anyway, I'm not a dancer. That wasn't obvious.
This one's for you to read.
Oh, it's me. Sorry. 10 euros from Ry Van Alphen. #Team Ben, because he was so nice to say he enjoyed the D&D movie without mentioning any spoiler. Oh, I think Ben knows. Most of the hosts are pretty like big nerds and care a lot about spoilers. So I think Ben's aware. Yeah,
yes,
I also want to see it. So I would be so upset if there were spoilers.
Also, the N says let Arden draw Trump. I don't know. I want her to draw me.
Yeah, well, maybe it could be like you and Trump holding hands.
Oh no! Well, I guess
in the future we should definitely do like I don't know some sort of super episode where the loser has to paint Trump. I feel like that's a much bigger. It's kind of like I gave away shaving my head for too little. Let's save painting Trump for something like real good.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. $9.99 from Jake Jones. #Team Arden. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Also, I'd love her to be drawn with a comically large spoon. I'm gonna make notes about the things that. Yeah, I'm gonna make a list for all the things that need to go in the. Are we keeping all of the? I think we should keep, no matter who the vote is for. I think we should put all the items in the list and have them be in either picture. That might be funny.
Okay.
I think you're gonna find it's impossible. That's a lot. That's a lot to do. I think for the moment we just stick with portrait of the other person.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you thought 15 warheads wouldn't be that many. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that was. no, thank you. No more.
No.
I might do the spoon. I might do the spoon though, because
I want to know why a comically large spoon. Is this like a? I had someone request for me to do like giantess stuff the other day, and I'm like, what is this like oversized and undersized stuff thing? Is this like a kink?
You know what? I have zero giantess kink, but then I was in VR and ended up in a giantess situation and was like, no, I kind of get it now. Like I probably won't seek this out, but I'm sort of chuffed that I did it once. Well, not did it implies more happened than just was present and witnessed. But no, it's kind of interesting. You don't think about it until you think about it, and then you're like, yeah, a boob the size of like a boulder's kind of dope. you want to sleep on that or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I ruining the show?
It sounds very comfy.
I get it a little bit.
Yeah. Now, whenever they're like, step on whatever, that I don't get. I want to see death under your foot. I don't get that.
And what if they wanted me to sit on the tiny people? No, where does that go? Is that good or bad?
I guess it has to be like, it's got to be like a sit on, but I got to still be able to breathe, but I want to struggle. Because I know a lot of people like to be smothered in bed. Like that's a whole genre, being smothered, different than being choked. It's wild. Anyway, make sure that you subscribe to our other channel, The Line X, where conversations like this will be default. We will be launching new episodes on The Line X very soon. Talk about giantess and crushing stuff under your foot.
All the things.
This is what happens when I end up in a stream with both Arden and Jimmy. I'm just like...
Yeah. I'd just like to point out that I saw some of your chats in the previous, most recent episode saying like, oh, thank goodness Jimmy's not here. And now you're all realizing how much you missed me. So suck it.
Aww. We're like a family.
I know. Probably shouldn't say suck it to my employees. All right, moving on.
We've got 50 Swedish... Wait, didn't you do the last one? I don't know. 50 Swedish krona from Puck Tholander. Hashtag Team Ben. Adding to the artwork. Everything Ben the stuffed... Wait, everything Ben the trash can has stuffed into himself during all the challenges. Also, Ben playing the saxophone. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Okay. They're saying they want part of your art piece to be you stuffing yourself. Got it.
And playing the saxophone.
Is this some Vor stuff? Are we back to the weird things? Oh my god, you guys, your audience is a bunch of degens.
Of TACIS.
You disgust me.
Little sickos. I love it. Can that be like, you know how YouTubers like have names for their audience? Can we call ours the Little Sickos?
I would love, the TACIS group specifically should be the Little Sickos.
Hey, Little Sickos. That's what I'm going to say every time now.
Yeah. Everyone who comes and watches any of my shows are the Insufferables, for sure. If you like my method of argument, you're also insufferable. I feel like that must be true.
That should be what the actual tiers for the channel membership and like Patreon and shit should be.
Well,
Are you an insufferable? Are you a sicko? This is how we are taking back the Hogwarts houses. Like, they have their stupid, like, because of course we don't support all that bullshit, but we are reclaiming the house system and making it the Insufferables, the sickos, etc. Like, what resonates with your personality the most?
You know,
this is your label for life. Item that you have to put on your body that tells you where you are.
I actually don't. We don't have a Jimmy tier on the memberships or the Patreon. Everybody else does. I'm the one who doesn't.
Yeah,
the insufferable
you're
tier.
left out.
I left myself out. Yeah, I did. Someone will figure out how that makes me a narcissist. I'm positive. It's the internet.
Obviously, it's so weird.
$10 from James Call. I usually vote for Ben because of my love of mayo, but today it is hashtag Team Arden because of the fact that it inherently looks good, especially with snakes in the painting.
Oh,
yeah, that would be cool. I should at least put snakes in Arden's painting.
I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking painting.
What if I made Arden like Medusa with like snakes for hair?
I kind of want it. Loki, that sounds badass.
It sounds badass, except for the fact that I can't do art, so it's just gonna look stupid, probably. Okay. More than likely.
We'll just say it's like abstract or something.
It's abstract. Yes, there we go.
100 from Ewan. Double L is Y, right? Ewan?
I think it's just Llewellyn.
Llewellyn Lucanth. Let us know how you pronounce your name. I thought double L was a Y sound, but I don't normally get to watch your videos because I work third shift, but I get to listen to them when I'm there, and it helps me through the night. Thank you for all you do. Oh, that's awesome. I used to work third shift all the time, so I appreciate needing some material to get you through. I'm glad we can do that for you.
Yeah, and thank you for your incredibly generous super chat.
Oh my God, yeah, I like glance over the number. That's fucking huge. Thank you so much. Oh my God, $100. Thank you.
I'm gonna see if we can get this. Hang on.
Oh. Stark.
Llewellyn.
Okay.
Llewellyn. There we go.
Llewellyn.
Figured it out.
That was
Get
right.
more help.
I gotta say, as a
Get more
person who has a chosen name also, and I don't know for a fact that Llewellyn is trans, but so this could just be a general indicator out there. When you're picking your chosen name, you don't have to try to trick the rest of civilization with something wild. It can just be a regular name. It's fine.
Yeah. Come on, be like other trans people and name yourself like Leaf or like Drop. You know?
Yeah, you don't have to name yourself like you're the child of a celebrity.
Well, see, it's funny because there's this meme, and it was talking about kind of the stereotypical names chosen. Now it's like trans women, they have like all these like old lady names, and
we
then
all got
like
an A name.
and then non-binary people have like Leaf or Sock or something, like some inanimate object that is now your name. And then trans guys, it's like a rotating 3 names. There's like J and like some other stuff. Like,
I'm not trans.
Which one are you going to choose? Today's Tuesday. I'm changing my name on a Tuesday. My name is Jay now.
I'm not trans, but I have a chosen name, and my chosen name is literally the most common name in the world. Jimmy is based on James. That is the most common name. There's more James than there are John. I'm just saying. y'all are wild, and I love you.
I always love the names that are like Jimmy is a shorthand of James, because it's like those don't. They're
It's
only
longer.
similar with the J and the M. Why?
It's more syllables.
It's longer.
Well, okay, so Jim is what's short for James. Right, but yes, you're still taking an A and making it an I, but you're taking James and you're making it quicker to write. And then Jimmy is sort of like, I feel like Jimmy is when you're ingratiating yourself to a person, you're like becoming more friendly with them and stuff. I feel like that's where it's like, oh, good old Jimmy. And I've never taken myself seriously, so I've always, ever since I started going by, I've never asked a single person ever to call me Jim. I've only said Jimmy to everybody because I'm not. I don't know. Call me
Is there
Jim.
an artifact too from like this old English thing where they would do like, that's why like Bill is a nickname for like William.
Yeah.
Like it was like a rhyming thing, or like Peggy is from like Meg is like a short name for Megan or something like that, right? Like it's a weird thing that they do.
No, that's got to be for. I thought it was for like Pamela or something.
It might not be Megan, but it's. I'm pretty sure it's an M name.
Short for Peggy is a short name for Margaret.
Margaret
and Pearl. It's a short name. That's kind of like James to Jimmy. Pearl to Peggy. And you know, if you're trying to be a little more serious, you just call them Peg.
Peg. I want to be called Peg.
What about Pegs? Okay, let's not before we go there. Let's not go there.
We're gonna get demonetized.
We're closing in on something. Let's not.
Wait, did we read? I don't think we read that one from Seven Lions. We
sorry.
talked over it the whole time.
I don't think we did. Yeah.
My bad.
Is this you or me, Ben? I don't remember anymore.
Turn the music back on.
My brain.
I think it's you.
Just like 3 seconds. Okay, $4.99 from Seven Lions. So glad to see Arden hosting. Thank you. Welcome back. # Team Arden. Thank you.
It wasn't yours
last month. Okay.
Well, because you read Llewellyn, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Somebody read it.
Ben, you need to do 2 in a row now.
I'm
just kidding. I don't care. You do whatever you want.
We care so much.
I don't care so much. But by the way, we have a staff meeting in an hour, so maybe stop abiding all of these producer interruptions.
Yeah. Jimmy,
Jesus.
Ben,
yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, it's my fault. Blame the trans guy. $10 from Luke Anderson, # Team Mayo. Ben, states with bases that also deny trans healthcare create problems when transferring, promoting people. This impacts readiness, which is a BFD. I love to hear your thoughts about this. Yeah, there's actually there's a lot to talk about this, but it's less of an issue actually because bases are federal. So you can get care on a base, and that's not really impacted as, I mean, supply maybe, but you can get things on a base that you might not be able to get in the state because it's federally regulated. So hope that helps.
Interesting. We got 1999 from Ramona. Right now was what I was saying is this supposed to be like Wes? GC arguments really seem to just be deflect. Really makes it sound like you are well-meaning when you can't answer a single question. Hashtag Team Arden. Hashtag draw a can of Pepsi's. Peep is 0. Nice. Yeah, no, that was what I tried to point out. It happened both with Wes and with the guy whose name I cannot remember. It was generic cis man name. Where it was like you'd ask them a direct question and then they would go, right, well, how about this other thing? And it's very similar to like Christians when they'll be like, oh, my core argument for why I believe in God is like this Bible verse. And then you'll like point out what's wrong with that Bible verse. And they'll go, well, actually, that doesn't matter because I believe in God for this other thing. And you're like, okay, so why are you just trying to make me sea lion, like clap for you? Like, yay, you did it. Good job. Like,
that's what happened with me and Andrew last night. Literally, it was like 6 or 7 in a row. Okay, here's a good reason. Okay, here's why that's not. And it's not even a reason. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, on to the next. And then same thing over and over. By the time we got to 7, it's like, all right, well, now I finally have the good reason. And I was like, it's been 40 minutes, my brother in Christ.
It's so frustrating. I'm like, just like either like tell me why my refuting you is wrong or acknowledge that you fucked up. Like those are the only 2 reasonable responses to having that pointed out to you. Anyway.
I can read this one because we are throwing it off. So 50 Sorry. Canadian from Kathleen Moncrief, who is, I keep shouting her out because she's a physician. And I think I need to be friends with you, Kathleen. We need to chat sometime. I can't pick a side, so I propose instead of host versus host, you challenge one of the other shows and we can all vote for Transatlantic versus HOSTility, The Hang Up, or Skeptalk. I would love to, like, TACIS versus Skeptalk. I want to challenge those motherfuckers to be the ones to guzzle mayo and eat warheads. I'd be so down to make Forrest, especially, do some weird shit.
Listen,
that would actually be really fun for one of those like Patreon call things, maybe.
Well, here's what I was going to say. Everybody who wants to see this kind of stuff, support on Patreon at whatever tier you can afford. You can also custom put in if somebody wants to be our $50,000 a month benefactor, that'd get my nips hard. And look, the reason why I say that is I have in pre-production right now a game show for the line, which is sort of what you're trying to talking about a little bit, is some sort of competitive thing. We're working on a game show for the line. And it's going to be awesome and amazing, but it's not going to happen until we have the ability to, 1, till we've secured a facility, and 2, we have the funds to semi-regularly bring some of the hosts from other parts of the country and Canada, I suppose, I guess, to the US, to Austin, I mean. So I'm just saying, there's lots of amazing things that we're going to be able to unlock, but everything is expensive. This is literally, I said the staff meeting we're having in an hour. The staff meeting in an hour is to basically review the last 6 months of growth and data that we have, and then go, here's what we need to do in the next 6 months, and here's all of our revenue plans when we get revenue. But right now, we're like stuck. We're honestly stuck in a position of everything you're seeing is pretty much what we can do until we increase revenue even further, which granted, we've expanded a lot. So that's not saying nothing, but we do have to expand further to go further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I just found out I had food to but Matt got us food. So I realized we've all been talking and participating. I'm not trying to be like, where you guys are taking forever. All of us are doing. Can we like maybe the next few ones try to be a little faster?
Yeah.
I'd like to eat before the staff.
Sure. Go extra fast through. We just had $50 from Kathleen, super generous. Why don't you just go super fast through this $200 one? Do you want to just take that real fast so your food is still warm?
I haven't eaten any solid food today.
Go get it. Eat on the air. Who cares? Go get your food.
Okay, $200 from Larry Fishman. Thank you, Larry. That's very, very generous. You are such an awesome regular supporter of the show. I started male to female HRT on March 25th. Yay! Congratulations! That's so exciting.
Congrats!
I had some interesting minor effects, but on Tuesday I felt stillness for the first time, followed by increase in sensitivity in my nerve-damaged left hand. I felt the coldness of my car's steering wheel and wept with joy. I owe this to the show. Thank you. I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome.
That's awesome.
I definitely will say that is like, I think the first and most prevalent effect of HRT for me is how it makes me mentally feel. Like clearly my brain is just like oriented in such a way that it is just better with estrogen. And so yeah, that's good. Happy for you. Congratulations. And thank you so much for that donation. It's
Congrats.
So huge and helpful.
Yeah, Larry's been hanging out with us like every week, and super cool to have you in the community, Larry.
Yeah.
$5 from Melissa. Ian McKellen absolutely towers over Elijah Wood. Just look at set photos from Lord of the Rings. Hashtag Team Felines, hashtag Go Navy, hashtag Bring Back Ship Cats. So I guess that's a vote for Arden because I don't have cats, so.
Also, wait.
Why don't you want to read the equation?
Actual delta.
Roughly, the change in size, roughly 12 centimeters divided by 4 and 3/4. That's the actual sized. Yeah.
$20 from Jesse B. I have seen claims that say that gender surgeons say that being on blockers before bottom surgery could affect ability to climax if a person hasn't before. BS. I can't find better sources to combat these claims. You too. I haven't heard claims about their ability to climax. I do know that if you are on hormone blockers and HRT before you get bottom surgery for a long period of time, sometimes there can be shrinkage of things, and that can be less skin and less material for the surgeon to work with. So you might get less depth. But I haven't heard anything about the ability to climax being related to that. Do you know, Ben?
I haven't either, but this might be, I can look into it, and this might be a good call, so.
Yeah, we should look into that. That's interesting.
$5 from Eric Malachite. Hashtag, there's no hashtag here, so I guess it's not a vote. Team Eric. Arden all the way, but there's no hashtag, no vote.
Generally, as long as they say team in name, I will often do it. But yeah, technically the rule's supposed to be no hashtag, no vote. But we did give the vote today because Arden's in a rush.
That's
okay,
right.
Fine.
99 from U101st. I'm so sorry for how I probably just butchered your username, but thank you for your donation. We really appreciate it.
It does remind me, though, of... I'll make it quick, don't worry. I've been interacting with this Twitter account and keep posting and be like, oh my God, this person's so stupid. And then one day I was saying to somebody like, you have to look at this Twitter account. They're called, and it was the first time I said it out loud, Philip Oliver Holes. And I was like, oh, God damn it. They got me. I'm the problem.
I'm the problem. £5 from Grimbeard. Actually, this one's yours, I think.
Oh, £5 from Grimbeard. As a Londoner and a psychologist, I feel vicariously shamed by Wes and Gabriel. Take this to assuage my guilt. Hashtag team nearly Dr. Pepis. Yeah, I would be ashamed with... I mean, I don't think Gabriel's a Londoner, but Wes is. And
no, but the psychologist part.
Oh, yeah. I see. Goes to show you getting a degree does not mean anything about your credibility. Well, it's not that it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have more credibility because you were able to take tests successfully.
I'm not on the side.
Sorry. Yeah, what it means is that the standard is higher for if you're wrong, you should be taking more of a hit for if you are wrong. That's what it does to me. So if you actually don't know what you're talking about and you claim credibility, your standard just goes up.
I'm not going to join your religion. Just gonna keep saying stupid stuff he says.
$5.50 Canadian from Nonsense Aficionado. Been facing a lot lately, and Arden, Ben, and yes, Jimmy made my day today. Arden and Ben, thank you so much. Suck it, Jimmy. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat.
It's fair since I told everyone else to suck it.
$10 from Larry Fishman. Again, Larry, wow, thank you so much. On top of your other donation, that's very generous. Hashtag Team Ben is congratulations for his coming top surgery. Yes! Dude, I'm so excited for Ben. This is such a good moment. He should be painted riding a giant hamster. Oh, I'll absolutely fucking
that'd
do
be
that.
great, yes.
If I win, Ben will be riding a giant hamster.
That's
Thanks,
amazing.
Larry.
I love that. $10 from Dark Matter. But what about the violent soup? Hashtag Team Arden.
God.
Hashtag go gently suck a turd, Jimmy. Gently.
Okay,
we have to make sure we're not violent trans people. We're not aggressive trans activists. So gently suck a turd. Jimmy.
We have a list of approved insults, people. There's go fuck yourself, GFY, go guzzle vegan cheese, but go gently suck a turd is a little too visceral for my tastes.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. It's artistic.
It's terrible.
$9.99 from...
This is oppression.
You won Ophures again. I'm so sorry. Hashtag Team Arden. That was my first super chat, so I screwed it up. And then I screwed it up a second time. I forgot to send the money. So let's try this again. Third time's the charm. Love the show. Thank you so much for you to send them twice, like just because it didn't work out. I really appreciate that. It's very generous. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for the vote.
Thank you for your support.
I gave a vote to Arden for both of them. Sorry, Ben.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. They paid twice. They should get the vote. $10 from Damian McLagan. I think that's how to pronounce it. I don't know. Hello, first time watching the show on the line. Honest question. I have a trans friend who was offended and corrected me when I accidentally called her transsexual. When did that become offensive? That's a good question. Yeah, I know some people are trying to take the term back. I think for most of us, we've heard it used as a slur way too many times, to where it's kind of generally considered to be a slur. That's at least my perspective.
I think just falling on trans is always safe. Nobody's going to be mad about trans. Most people won't be mad about transgender, but trans is always good. 50 Swedish krona again from Puck Tholander. Again, thank you, Puck. Hashtag Team Ben. A portrait of you two, of the two of you pouring tomato juice over Wes would be satisfying. I wonder if he's going to call us aggressive over that. That'd be so funny.
550 Canadian from Nonsense Aficionado. Shoot, I forgot. Congrats, almost Dr. Ben. Hashtag Team Ben. Hell yeah, I got another vote. Thank you for your support again, Nonsense.
And in fairness, I will give Ben a second one since the first one, same thing we just did with Arden.
Fair enough. 10 euros from Thomas Donald Jacobs. Please no more West, not unless Jimmy promises to do an impression. Arden needs a pink dragon millipede. They're really pretty. They're really cool. I've seen them, but I don't do inverts. Maybe I'll do a tarantula someday, but it's not really in my thing. The hashtag the awesome Dr. Ben. Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you
really
for the support.
The pink dragon.
Oh yeah. 550 Canadian from Simply Bet. The way transphobes talk about meds can be very ableist. As a type 1 diabetic, I know being reliant on meds sucks, but it doesn't make my life a tragedy. Absolutely. That's definitely an argument that that they misuse. And thank you for your support.
Arden wins the live chat vote, so we'll put that in. And then there's only two more. We're not going to hit 25. I'm going to say this time it's fine because while I think it wouldn't be classy to announce the number, we sort of killed it on super chats today, so to not have a loser would be fucking wild. So I declare.
Fair.
Yeah,
we got huge donations, so I think that kind of weighs the amount of a couple of votes. $20 from Joe White. Hashtag Team Arden. Drawing of Ben eating mayo from a tiny jar with Arden's ridiculous spoon. Very nice.
Okay, now that said, we do need at least a couple more votes, or at least one more vote, because this is tied. The last one doesn't have a vote. So we need a tiebreaker, people. Get them in.
Yeah, get your
$4.99 from Truth Seeker. Do you think that we should do away with gender segregation in sports? I think one human league is the best way forward. I think it depends on the sport, but I think largely the majority of sports don't need gender segregation.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much my position as well. There's probably some where it's sufficient with some like tweaks or whatever, but yeah, it just seems unnecessary. If a woman is capable of outperforming a man, why should she be denied the opportunity, you know? It might not happen in every sport, but like it would be inclusive to trans people. It would be less patriarchal and misogynistic. It just seems like I've heard some people say it eliminates trans people's like womanhood or manhood if they can't participate in women's sports, but I think that's fucking stupid in my opinion.
No, it just makes men able to lose to a woman, and that's why they don't want to do it.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, but thank you so much, Truth Seeker. Hey, I saw a couple more come in. I think we're tied.
$4.99 from Cody Crow. # Team Ben. # eat a deek, Jimmy. I like that spelling of it.
And then $9.99.
Oh no!
# Team Arden. What the heck? All right, last one. I already saw it came in. There we go.
Snap! $5 from James Call. # Team Arden, and I forgot to say, go fuck yourself, Jimmy.
Thank you so much, James Call. Oh my god, and another Team Ben just came in. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
At this point, with how generous of a donation we got from,
I think we should both do it.
We should both do it. It'll be funny.
Yeah.
People will love to see it.
No, I want a winner. That's so unsatisfying. We're like head to head right now. What are you doing? It's so good.
All right. Okay.
$4.99 from. Oh, is it me? I thought.
No, it's you. Go ahead.
From Brinpoo KC. # Team Ben for nearly 12 days. Yes, 12 days. We are so close. And thank you for the donation and the vote.
I see a bunch are coming in now. All these little votes. How's it gonna end? Jimmy's setting them up in the queue. I know. $5.50 Canadian from Simply Bet. I meant to vote for # Team Arden and forgot. I don't know if that's true or not, but does that count as 2 votes?
Okay, let me see. James Call had come in. When was that one? It wasn't that long ago, right?
This is Simply Bet, not James Call.
This is Simply Bet.
Oh, Simply Bet. Okay, let me. Yes, that one will count as 2.
Hey!
Nice.
Get that lead.
Okay, and so we're currently on Simply Bet, which means the next one is now this one.
All right, $20 from Joe White. # Team Arden. Drawing a Ben eating mayo from a tiny jar with Arden's ridiculous spoon. Well, but I have to draw Arden.
Yeah, if you're voting for me, that means Ben loses and Ben has to draw. But that's okay. Thank you for your vote. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Looks like I very well might be drawing.
$5.50 from Nonsense Aficionado again. # Team Ben. # Trans Man Solidarity. Very nice.
Hell yeah, we're getting back there. What's SAR? What kind of currency is that? 20. Is that so? I don't know. I want to say it's. I don't know.
Saudi Real.
It is Saudi. I was thinking like it. It seemed like it was, but I didn't want to be wrong. From Shema, I'm okay with doing violence. # Team Ben.
I will say it's a hard ethical line when it comes to fighting for human rights. There are going to be times where it's like necessary, although I don't necessarily know that the things you're talking about today fall under the necessary category.
Yeah.
$5 from Melissa Nguyen. That was 12 centimeters or 4 3/4 inches, Ben. I don't know what that symbol means. That's
the quote symbol means inches. Yeah.
Right. Keep those super chats, YouTube memberships, and Patreon donations coming in. That's right. Alyssa's doing all the.
I know what
especially Patreon.
I know what the symbols mean. I wasn't sure exactly the phrasing of what you were saying, but now it makes sense.
Plus, you'll notice there are quotes in the way our super chat system formats, which also further confuses things.
Which throws it off. Yeah. I think super chats are sometimes hard to get the full gist of what's being said. But I got it. $10 from Llewellyn Lucanth. Forgot to vote. # Team Arden all the way. But all the love to Dr. Ben. Never meant to choose a hard name to say. LOL. It's a name of a queer character from a show I love. I mean, that's absolutely fair. And thank you for another donation.
On this show, a friendly jab is meant as like a symbol of affection. We pick on each other a lot here, so hopefully you don't take that seriously. We're just kind of messing with you. £5 from Avery. The HCR thing in the UK has me worried. This is a good distraction. Hashtag being bad. Yeah. So they're, I think, voting on their equality stuff to maybe segregate single-sex spaces, which would exclude trans women, which is, all the gender criticals always be like, oh, I just want to make it so a man can't just declare, but then they advocate for these policies that ban all trans people. So it's like fucking fucked up. Yeah, it's definitely worrisome.
€5 from DIY Patrick, just to keep you here for a little bit longer. Hashtag Team Ben.
Bro, I love your support, but I want to go eat dinner with my boyfriend before we have a meeting.
That's what you can eat at the meeting. I was wondering, how hungry are you?
Oh, he's bringing you
are you
the
like,
food, though.
Is that how hungry you are? Is that you're like, I'm mad at how much money I'm making right now?
And it's Schultz's too. I'm not mad about the money, but I haven't eaten any solid food today. I'm so hungry.
Eat. Ben can keep reading these.
This is a mukbang show now. I can keep reading. $5 from Charles Cox. I'm neutral, but I want to bully Jimmy by evening the scales. Go do something embarrassing, but not too gross to yourself, Jimmy. Hashtag Team Ben.
Oh my God. I like how considerate it was. Not too gross.
Not too gross, Jimmy.
Oh my God.
These are potato pancakes from this place called Schultz's. They're so fucking good.
$5
from Dylan Fuller, hashtag Team Arden, because I'd love to see Ben draw as someone getting back into art. Even bad art is fun and good for you. Go fuck yourself is too mean for me. LOL, sorry. No, it's true. I think having I don't know, you don't have to be good at art for us to enjoy the process,
Right. No, and that's why I like this challenge, because it'll be funny and embarrassing, but enjoyable, I think.
That might be it. Is that it? Did Arden win?
Shit.
I really thought another person would pop in and be like, yo, I am the captain now.
Oh my God.
Oh, and there it is.
What the fuck?
Hey.
Chaos.
$4.99 from Brinpoo KC, and another hashtag Team Ben, go fuck yourself, Jimmy. And we're tied again.
What are we supposed to do?
I suppose we wait. We wait and see.
You guys just watch me stuff my face with these fucking cartel.
This is a mukbang show now.
Called.
There is something funny that Matt brought them to you, because Matt will not eat on. I've told him before. I'm like, hey, I brought you food, and he's like, I'm not going to eat during the show. I'm like, no one cares during super chats. Just eat, have it, enjoy it.
I don't think anyone would care, but I know he's got a thing about being rude on camera. It matters to him a lot, so I understand. But luckily, I don't respect you fuckers enough. I'm gonna eat on camera.
I guess being rude to the audience, because I'm like, we're a little bit rude professionally to people who call in, for a living. I mean,
true.
Jeez.
Come on, people, we need one more vote. One way or the other.
If y'all don't handle the voting, I'll just pick. Okay, we just got one.
There it is.
This has been a really good playlist today, y'all. The specific beats today are pretty great. Anyway.
$5 from Larry Fishman, hashtag Team Ben. And that's it. That should be done. It should be done there. I should win.
But don't you feel like it's probably not done?
It's probably not done, but I should win.
Ben, are you going to come to the...
Larry.
Are you going to join the staff meeting even though you did yesterday?
What?
Okay, there we go.
I might have a little bit of time.
If you want, you can join. God. I added some more stuff to the PowerPoint. Okay, here we go.
Okay, I might join.
So it's definitely not me.
$4.99 from Brinpoo KC, and another for nearly Dr. Ben.
I think I accidentally added two. There you go.
That's okay, because there's another one for Ben.
I think Arden's gonna have to paint me. Oh no, we got we got some more coming in. Some more Team Ben though.
550 Canadian from Nonsense Aficionado, hashtag Team Ben, hashtag Team Bevels, hashtag Tip the Scales.
We should do an episode that's titled something like call us and ask us questions while we eat food. Just a mukbang.
You just want to do a mukbang show.
What is that?
Where you eat and talk with your audience. That's there's a whole genre of YouTube content.
Oh, I was thinking almost as
amounts of food.
I was thinking almost like a funny debate thing where the catch is while you're talking, you have to also be eating on the phone. Specifically, It's like, hey, I just want to know why you think God is reasonable or unreasonable. And then it's like, you're only allowed to answer while putting food in your mouth. That'd be pretty funny. I actually won't be able to participate in that soon, though.
Just FYI.
What's that?
I said I also have to pee now.
Okay, well, we've got like 5 now.
$5 from Larry Fishman. Hashtag Team Ben. Give it to Ben. Ooh. They must have made a mistake because they put mushrooms all over this vegan dog, and I fucking hate mushrooms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
50 Swedish krona from Puck Tholander, and there's no vote here. But thank you for the contribution.
I mean, I love mushrooms. Culinary mushrooms. I just don't like culinary mushrooms. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
Wait, did we read this one?
No, not yet.
$5 from James Call. Bring back the tie. Hashtag Team Arden.
Shit, we
want us
might
to live here.
I will say, while I wanted a real loser, we're approaching 50 points, and 50 points is where we've said in the past both people have to do it.
You guys should check out my link tree because I'm eating a sausage on camera right now.
Ooh. €5 from Riven Alphen. Hashtag Team Ben for the win. Now I'm hungry. God damn it.
€5 from Thomas Donald Jacobs. Trans guy solidarity. Hashtag Team Ben. Okay, Ben's got me up by 5 now. I think this is done. We'll read the rest of them.
Yeah.
Fuck. I gotta pee. I'm raging.
Yeah, I mean,
yes,
but if we get 5 more votes, you both end up having to do it because we passed 50.
Mm-hmm.
So we just need, whether or not you still lose, we could get to
$5
50.
from Melissa Newen. Hashtag Team Arden. Hashtag that was sharp. Not a hashtag. So technically does not count. Hashtag Team Technicalities. What?
If you look at the first hashtag next to Arden, it's a sharp. I'm still gonna give it to Arden.
Oh, okay.
Because you still said Team Arden. Okay, here's there. Oh, I accidentally skipped one. But go ahead.
From Tiffany M. Hashtag mushrooms are gross. Hashtag Team Arden. Climbing back up. We're almost there to having to both do it.
£5 from Samantha Patrick. Hashtag Team Arden. Man, they really are still going, huh?
Yeah.
This is.
Have we ever gotten the threshold to have both people do it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought we hadn't yet.
Yeah, a couple times actually. I think you and Josie both have to guzzle vegan cheese.
Right. Oh, that's right.
Don't remember. Oh, the two of you with your onion jar. Arden still owes us an onion jar.
Wait, do I have to do an onion jar?
I'm pretty sure we got the double. Didn't we that
I thought
day?
it was just me. No, it was just me that day.
I just think you were the one that was the only one who was ready to do it that day.
No, it was just me.
You're sure?
I'm pretty sure. We can go back and check.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. We need one more vote after the one that's just come in, and then they both got to do it. And apparently they might both have to do it on a tie as well if one more Arden vote comes in. But here you go.
It's one that we need to read. Is it the £5?
Oh, sorry. This one.
Okay. £5 from Critical Cupcake. Hashtag Team Arden. Both riding hamsters.
Nice.
This is the army of hamsters.
We love you. $5 from Panda. Hashtag Team Ben. Hashtag Let's Get 50. Very nice. For that to be the 50th vote is very fitting.
It is. And then we just got another. We just got.
Oh man.
Chat, I love you. Thank you for the money, but holy shit, you're killing me.
No, I will cancel the meeting if they want to keep giving us money. My God. How is this?
I'm gonna need to take a break and go pee.
You can go pee. Go pee. I earlier said hard nips. Do you think we're maintaining a level of professionalism which doesn't include you needing to go pee? Like, what's going on?
Well, $5 from Panda. Hashtag Team Ben. Hashtag Let's Get 50.
Love you guys.
I love you. I do.
£5 from Samantha Patrick. Hashtag Team Arden.
It'd be kind of funny to end the show while she's gone.
While she's in the bathroom. Let's do it.
No, I feel like that's the kind of thing where it seems funny, but sometimes people actually can get a little bit I mean, Arden's got some of the thickest skin of anybody I know, but I don't risk making someone feel like I don't value them.
No, that's fair. That's reasonable.
It's funny though. It would be funny. I like that there's no chats to read while she's peeing. Too good. Ben, you do have to sort of carry the show right now while she's gone.
Oh, I gotta say things. I thought that was you just wanted to, talk about yourself.
Hey, we ended the show while you were gone. You're off air now.
Perfect. Good.
I'm just kidding.
Well,
no.
We're not.
We thought about it though. We said it might be funny to do. Okay, but wait, here's another.
5 euros from DIY Patrick. My mouth is fucking full of food. Nasty. We need to get to 50. Hashtag Team Arden this time. I mean, we're both doing it now.
Yeah.
Now you guys are just
we're doing it.
We got it.
Doing it.
We got it. Okay, I think it's done.
Okay.
I think
right.
it's over. Do you want louder or more or less music?
It's fine. So thank you guys so much for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Fuck you! Oh my god.
There's another super chat.
I'm glad this is making you so happy. It's so entertaining.
5 euros from Ryvan Alphen. No. Hashtag Team Ben again and again. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat.
Hey. Okay. Thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you to the mods for doing all the work that you guys do in chat. It really is huge. And thank you to our call screener. Who's our call screener today?
Critical Cupcake.
Critical Cupcake. Oh, of course. Thank you, Critical Cupcake, for being our call screener today. Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you to all of you viewers for showing up to support this show. It really does mean the world to us to be able to have these conversations and get good information out there and to challenge bad ideas that apparently are even in, graduate level psychology programs. These ideas have been infected. So it's really important that we keep having these conversations. And I think we do a really good job here at having the conversations in a way that is actually balanced and fair towards the information that is out there, and not balanced and fair as in platforming unequal sides equally. So thank you guys so much. We love you. We appreciate you. And we will be back here next week with me and Katie. So thanks so much. Bye.